Yes, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I wholeheartedly offer whatever suits your time zone. It's another Blue Morning show, so more importantly, I said to you all, Blue Morning. I sincerely do hope that everybody is doing well. Yes, today we're going to talk about the game, the 6-0, the 6-0 defeat away at the 6-0 win of a Chelsea Football Club against Southampton at St. Mary's. And we're also going to talk about the status of the Chelsea Football Club. So, and also we'll talk about some news. But the guarantee is it's going to be as fun as the usual because it is an interactive show. We'll be taking questions from the audience in the chat and also addressing their concerns. So with that, I say, let's get into it. Yes, again, welcome to Blue Morning Show. I sincerely do hope that everyone is doing well. And I really do mean that it was a brilliant performance overall from the defense to the attack by the boys in blue. And the question is, have we seen enough to say, okay, we're good to go? We can get a result at the Bernabeu in Spain on Tuesday. And again, what happened? What changed? Why these performances within the span of 2 or 3 days? We will get into that. We will take it one by one and make sure we will dissect and then come to a sensible conclusion why that was a brilliant performance, why the players did as good as they did, and also we will discuss whether we've seen a reason enough not to sell Timo Werner, but to keep him at the club because he has great potentials, and we shouldn't give up on Timo Werner. So now I'll start by looking at the news. What we see in the news. This is an article by Matt O'Connor Simpson. You can find it on FODMob. FODMob is a great app that I use. They're not paying me. I use it for free, and I'm glad that I'm able to use it because he makes the stream as seamless. And if you go to the app, you can see you can download it for Apple devices. You can also download it for Android devices and also Huawei devices. But let's get into it. Here, it's just showing how Thomas Tuchel is saying he's not sure about the fitness of Romelu Lukaku and says that's Paqueta. He says Lukaku wasn't in training yesterday. He was in too much pain. He said there's not a lot of time. We have only two training sections and we leave the country on Monday. So basically, he's explaining why he's not sure Romelu Lukaku will be ready to travel with the team to Spain to face the Spanish giants at the Bernabeu. But that's, by the way, and again, we have to agree that it was indeed a brilliant performance by the boys in blue. Again, from the defense to the attack, all the players were brilliant. The pace of the passes, the intensity, the transition from defense to midfield to attack was like we've never seen. The boys in blue play like that for a while. I think you could argue that's definitely one of Chelsea's biggest performance since the I think it was it 7-0 defeat of Norwich City at home. So this was a similar game. But again, like I said during the start of this episode of Blue Morning Show, I think the question is, did we see enough to say, okay, we're good to go, that we're definitely going to get a result at the Bernabeu in Spain on Tuesday? I'd say the truth is Real Madrid will be a different animal. Yeah, we did quite well. Yeah, the intensity was, you could argue on another level. But the fact is Real Madrid indeed will be a different animal, and that's no disrespect to Southampton. They played their game, but they were outplayed by Chelsea. I think the quality, the disparity in quality of players on both sides showed that they, again, it wasn't like Thomas Tuchel changed too much. I think he had to make do with what he has, what he had, the team, the players he had available for selection in that day, but they did not disappoint. And again, people, when we saw the lineup, I was concerned for a couple of reasons. I was concerned for Ruben Loftus-Cheek starting as a right wing back while Reece James was on the bench. I was concerned that Timo Werner got the chance to start while the likes of Hakim Ziyech remained on the bench. So we asked the question as we were analyzing the lineup. We asked the question of where the creativity was going to come from. We asked the question of whether that was a good selection, and we weren't sure if the structure will indeed be a 3-4-1-2 or 3-4-2-1 formation. We weren't sure, given that Ruben Loftus-Cheek was positioned according to the structure on the right, and that is as the right wing back man. But indeed, I think it turned out to be a stroke of genius by Thomas Tuchel. If you ask me, the players were brilliant from the defense to the attack. Nobody disappointed. Even Timo Werner could have scored. I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't say those were misses. I would say he did his best. First, he hit the wood, the goalpost, and then the crossbar. It was like as if the crossbar and the sticks were the target for Timo Werner. But nonetheless, it was a brilliant shift, a brilliant performance overall from the German international, who could have, scored a hat trick on that day. I think the only player that you could say wasn't 100%, you could say looked, somewhat out of place. You could say was Thiago Silva. He looked a bit tired, but still he carried it through and did not disappoint. He was as calm as usual. He was calculated as usual, and he led the back line very well. So overall, you would say that what's his name? Thiago Silva. While that wasn't the best of his performances, that was indeed a good performance. He did not perform below par, but then it wasn't his usual performance, as you can see. And from the defense, I think on the right hand side, Ruben Loftus-Cheek surprisingly held his own. He defended very well, and he showed some pace. Okay, let me start looking. I have the first participant in the chat here. In the person of my brother and friend, Phantom of Many Topics, he says, keep Werner, why not a Broja? I think we could still have them both. If you ask me who would I rather, if there's the need, if you ask me if there's the need to sell any player at the club and then bring to keep a team to bring in Broja, I would say we're better off selling a Lukaku. At least you can argue that Timo Werner, is quicker than Lukaku, and at least he makes his runs. You can say he makes more dynamic runs that Romelu Lukaku does. And this is Anyam Kukreja. He said, "Hey bro, how are you? I hope you are doing well. And please, if you haven't, make sure to like the video so that the Google algorithm, so that the YouTube algorithm will push the stream to more people, so that we can have more people join us. And don't forget, we've been for the past few days selecting one contestant per day for the Roman Abramovich contestant, where the winner gets to win $150. So yes, in a bit, I'll put the link to the panel in the chat so that whoever has the time can join us. He says, no, wants Lukaku too slow. Yeah, no one wants Lukaku. That's why I said if there's any need for anybody to leave for Broja to come back, definitely for me, it is a Lukaku. He's the one that plays as the number 9 man for us. He doesn't play in the same position as Timo Werner does. And again, like I said before, Timo Werner is more dynamic. He makes more dynamic runs than Romelu Lukaku does. He's quicker than Romelu Lukaku. Lukaku is just taller and maybe a bit better aerially, but Lukaku for me isn't good enough aerially as he should be, given that he is a tall man, a really big man indeed, and should be doing better aerially. And this is no one wants Lukaku too slow. Yes, I've read that before. Good blue morning, Coachila. Blue morning to Just Viola, one of the queens of the house. Nice to see you. I do hope that you are doing well. And 8 to hit the like. That's good to see, brother. Keep it coming. And blue morning to you, to my brother and Fahim, CFC Fahim, if you haven't. Although we don't have too many people right now, but I still say that again. Go check out CFC Fahim. Great channel, objective, never clickbait, and that's why I am friends with him. Now, while I go on, if you have any questions for me, go ahead, drop it in the chat, and I'll try to address it. That keeps me going. And then if anybody wants to join the panel, I'll share the link in a bit. Again, the question I asked when the show started is, you must say this has been one of the most complete performance under Thomas Tuchel since he's taken over Chelsea Football Club, in terms of the fluidity in the front line, in terms of how many chances created, in terms of the intensity and how quickly the players were able to transition from defense to midfield and attack. It was so good to watch. And then again, that highlights something else that we've always talked about here, how fluid and how better we play in the absence of Romelu Lukaku, although that's been known. But each time we play so well like this in his absence, it highlights that notion even further. So I'm going to try to share something here to look at the lineup while we discuss the game. I'm going to go to yesterday, and I'm going to find the Chelsea game. Let me see. Yes, brilliant. Now, if you look at this game, and if you look at, excuse me, if you look at the 11 that played for us, just as I've talked before, I think the only person that you could say wasn't his usual self was Thiago Silva. And the reason being probably because, yes, and probably because he's played too many games, and probably because he should have rested in either of the 2 previous games. But for some reason, probably because of lack of fitness for other players who could have taken his place in his absence, he had to start the 2 previous games. But he did tried his best, but that wasn't his usual performance. As you can see from the ratings here by FOTMob, he gets just 6.9, while the team average is, I think you can say, around 7.2% rating. So that shows you that Thiago Silva on the day wasn't himself. And this is just Viola saying, "Oh, I'm doing good, Coachila." It was a good Saturday. Yes, it was indeed a brilliant Saturday. We're all the club, the fans also, wanted that win, and they did indeed do us a world of good, because we've been suffering given the restrictions on the club, the sanctions on the owner of our beloved club, plus also the conundrum of the sale process that have, you could argue, gone longer than we anticipated it would go. So right now I'm going to share the link to the chart in about a minute, so that whoever wants to join the panel can join and express themselves. And while we'll talk about that, you can go ahead and let us know what you think about the previous that performance yesterday. And also let me know, I want to ask you what you think about Ruben Loftus-Cheek performance in the right wing back position. I think surprisingly, I knew before time that, yeah, Chelsea's wing backs, their primary responsibility isn't to defend. But the truth is, I was concerned when I saw that Ruben Loftus-Cheek was going to start in that position, because truthfully, defending isn't his strongest suit. But he did quite well. He held his own in that position. He defended very well. He did not disappoint. And if you're in the chat, let me know what you think about Ruben Loftus-Cheek playing in this position. Let me see if we can see his statistics overall. In that position, Ruben Loftus-Cheek had he played 90 minutes, 0 goals. But yeah, 0 assists, total shots 1, and he had 1 key pass. Expected goal XG is 0.09, and he had expected goals on target 0.10. And I think it's not a bad performance for him overall. Touches 73, and accurate crosses are really bad. Tackles 1, 2 over 2. That is 100% tackles won. To me, that is a good number, given that he is not traditionally a defensive player. Blocks 1, clearance 2, head clearance 1, interceptions 1, recoveries 9, and again was fouled 6 times, and he won. Yeah, he won us some fouls, and then that shows you how well he did in that game. It wasn't a bad performance for Ruben Loftus-Cheek in that position. In fact, he put in some good crosses, and because the fact that the primary responsibility for our Chelsea wing backs isn't to defend, and I want to see him in that position again, given the fact that he contributed so much to the midfield. He wasn't just sticking to the flank alone. He supported the midfield, and I think he helped them. He helped in the midfield area quite a lot. So I think that makes sense to play him in that position, given that he's a good passer of the ball. And if you remember, I think the first goal, it was his intelligence, his intelligence to find Mason Mount with what you could call a lobbed ball in the box of the Southampton box that made it possible for us to score that first goal. I think in that position, I think he will do quite well. And for Mason Mount, it was a really good day for him. 1 assist and 2 goals. That doesn't happen all the time, but on that day, he was brilliant. He looks in the previous games, he looked mentally tired. His decision making had been poor in the previous games, but looks like he's well rested and firing on all cylinders again. Let's look at his statistics on that day for that game. Tottenham rated him for 9.4 minutes played, 69. He didn't even finish the game. He scored 2 goals, 1 assist, total shots 3, and accurate passes 84%, and that's a good number. 2 key passes 1, expected goals 0.61, expected goals on target 1.58, expected assists 0.25. Again, he had good numbers in that day, and 2 good goals and 1 good assist too. So I think you can say it was an overall a brilliant performance by Mason Mount on today, and he did not disappoint. So right now I'm going to put the link to the panel in the chat, so whoever has the time to join me will do so. That will be good. If not, I will run solo, and believe me, it will still be a good show. Link to the panel. Yep, and I'm going to pin it in case if you have time to join the panel. That would be good. If not, I will run solo, and I can promise you, it was still before. And then please give me a second to take a sip of my coffee. Yes, thank you. So another player on the day that was brilliant is Timo Werner himself, and you can say he was just the the highest rated player on the day. Mason Mount was rated 9.4 by Fortnite, but Timo Werner rated 9.3. I think he's the second highest rated on the day, and I'm not surprised. So let's look at Timo Werner's statistics overall. Like we've mentioned during the start of the game, he could have had at least 3 goals, if you ask me. Fortnite rating is 9.3. That is just a point behind Mason Mount, who's rated 9.4. And he played 90 minutes. He scored 2 goals, 0 assists. But that's, by the way, total shots, 8 shots, all of which I think You can say 90%, yeah, accurate. You can say all of which are good shots. Accurate passes 74, not bad at all. And key passes one. Expected goal XG is 2.28. Expected goals on target 1.64. Expected assist 0.3. And again, I think overall you can say big chances missed three, but those are not really bad misses as usual. This time he, they were all on target. It's just that he didn't score. Again, it wasn't. It was a good night for Timo Werner, but he could have scored like, again a hat trick on that day. He was just unlucky. You'd say. I wouldn't say he missed a chances. I think it was overall a brilliant performance. Again, another player I think it's important for us to look at is King Kai himself. It was not, although he scored a goal, it was overall a brilliant performance for him. Portmore rated Kai 7.7 minutes played of 45 minutes. I think Thomas Tuchel was just being cautious there, taking him off on the half hour mark. Sorry, on the 45th minute mark because he doesn't want him to get injured. And if you ask me, I think that's a brilliant move because he is one of most important, most informed players of late, and he's been growing from strength to strength. He's improved in terms of physical aspect of the game. He's finishing everything, I think, overall. And his pass accuracy is 89%, 16 passes completed out of 18 tries. That is brilliant. Two key passes. Expected goals actually is 0.83. Expected goals on target is 0.64. So overall for Kai, it is a brilliant performance. And let me take some time to look in the chat. If you have any question, please go ahead and ask me. And also, Hams Master, I have the link to the panel in the chat. If you want to join, that would be brilliant. I see my brother Fahim here. Sorry, I've been looking at the screen and sorry, did not know that you're there. How are you doing, Fahim?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Coach. How are you?
Fine, I can't complain. Nice to have you on the panel. And I thought I was going to go solo today because I looked and nobody was joining, but that's fine. I knew you always have my back, brother. So welcome to the panel.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the performance yesterday was a brilliant performance. I was
Hmm.
happy for Timo. I was happy for Timo Werner.
Yeah,
Jay
and
was
Jay was.
completely happy with him, and
Yep.
I think the the performance yesterday. I think
Hmm.
it was a good reaction from the
Hmm.
players because it was a performance that we wanted against Madrid, and we didn't get it at all. Um,
Yeah. I was going to ask, what do you think? What is the difference? Because this is the same. This is almost the same 11, not much change. And let me just quickly go through the chat. Hans Master says Timo scored, but he couldn't. He could not. He could not have scored more. Yeah, he could have scored more. I am still Timo out. He's not a Chelsea standard, but regardless, 0.0 to 6. Let's bring this on Tuesday. I understand your argument, Hans Master, but the fact is, if you look at Timo's Chelsea record, it's not bad overall. We must remember that he had the most goal contributions for us this past season. So it's just that, and then again, when it seemed as if he's back in form again, I think he got injured or was it COVID? Caused a setback for him. Fine. Do you think are you for Timo out? If yes, why do you think so?
well, I don't really want to say Timo out because I don't really want players to be out like that. I don't really want to say that, but
Hmm.
I think for Timo, last season he was effective because of our press. We've seen he can work in the system. It's just that he can't finish his chances. That's the problem. That's the only
Hmm.
problem with Timo. If he was to finish his chances, he would definitely fit in this team, 100%. But yesterday's performance, he hit the woodwork for like 3 times, where he could have had more than 2 goals. He could have had a hat trick, could have had 4 goals, 5 goals,
And I
and
usually, when you hit the woodwork, I usually don't call that misses because he was just unlucky.
yeah, yeah. But he's always unlucky. I don't understand that. He always hits the post and misses big chances. But I think with Timo's future, I've said this before. I think it's better for him to move on He's known to be a goal scorer, not just to make runs and make space for others. We didn't bring him to do that. We brought him to score goals. So, and we've seen that his other than his sort of movement, he doesn't really
Mhm.
bring too much into the team. Like his passing is not the greatest, his dribbling's not the greatest, his pace is good, his movement is good, his shooting is still not the greatest. Even though yesterday it was quite quite good yesterday, but we need to see that more consistent. We've been waiting for almost 2 years now, so I think we need to maybe calm down with the Timo hype. I understand everyone is excited. I understand we're all fans here, but we need to be realistic that Timo Werner hasn't been like this sort of Werner for throughout his time at Chelsea.
So you're saying you haven't seen reason enough to keep him at Chelsea Football Club because we saw some semblance of his Timo we watched at Leipzig. That's I think was it his second goal. I think it was his second goal. How he took on, he didn't give up, and then he flopped the goalkeeper and using his left foot to finish. That was brilliant. That was, I think that you could argue that's one of his best goals for Chelsea Football Club. But
Hmm.
again, overall, you, I wouldn't
He
say Timo's Chelsea career has been a bad one so far. His numbers are good, although he's been poor in terms of finishing the chances created for him. So you're
hmm.
saying that you haven't seen enough to say we should keep him.
Well, the thing is, right, he does really well with high lines. So Southampton, he did well. Well, literally almost every Southampton game he's played, and he's actually, I think, scored. I think except from one. Liverpool against Liverpool, he does well. So he does well at high lines, but he doesn't do well with low blocks. And the Premier League is there's loads of teams that play a low block. They're more physical, and he just doesn't suit those sort of styles. So I think we brought him in to score goals. We spent a lot of money on him.
Uh-huh.
He's on a lot of money as well. Like he's on, I think, around
It's one
250k
of the
per week.
highest paid at the club.
Yeah, so I don't know. When you're one of the highest paid in the club, you should be expecting a lot more. Um, so that's not necessarily his fault. We decided to do that. Chelsea decided to pay that much of money,
Okay,
and
let
that's
me
why I
ask
think
you.
Chelsea should move
Go
on
ahead.
from
Yeah,
him.
go ahead.
That's why I
I
think
was going
Chelsea
to
should
ask you
move on
this.
from him.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
I think that's why Chelsea should move on from him. Try find someone that can probably do the same role, but a little bit less cheaper because, like I said, we can't really operate like this if you're just going to overpay players like that.
I get your argument, but let me ask you this. Isn't it possible? Shouldn't we keep him at the club and play him in such games where he has, because yeah, we've established the fact that he does well when that is when there's a lot of space for him to operate. And we saw that yesterday, and I think you've mentioned that already. He had lots of spaces to operate behind the Southampton defense, and he did well. He made the most out of it. Shouldn't we have him at the club? You know, it is such that is to utilize him in such games where he enjoys playing, because there will be lots of space for him to run in behind the opposition defense, and on his day he can put away chances.
Hmm. I think, but the thing is, I think you can get players to do that anyway. You just need to coach them in a certain way. I think something what Timo Werner does. I mean, yes, he gets into good positions, makes good runs. But I feel like if you bringing a player that has pace, that has good movement, it'll do the
Mm,
similar role as Timo Werner,
mm,
but with probably be on less money. I would say. Like you look at Raheem Sterling, Pep really coached him into a player that gets into really good positions and makes good runs. I think Tuchel could do the same if he was to bring his own sort of player that has
mm.
pace and good movement. But with Werner, like he can be that Sterling sort of player, but with Sterling he can at least dribble. With Werner, I feel like he can't really do that. But we've seen it, like his fundamentals is not really there. It's lacking a lot of other fundamentals. So I don't know. I feel like we should move him on. It's best for him actually because I think he likes scoring goals and not just making stupid goals.
Eventually, I think if things aren't working out for him, I think he will eventually leave the club. But I think Thomas Tuchel is going to really try to make it work because his pace is something only a few players can measure. And he makes the most of it when he has the space to do that. But that's by the way. Let me quickly go through the chat, and we will come back to talk about what you think changed, in terms of the performance because. Chelsea haven't played this good for a while. I think the last time Chelsea played this good was the game against Norwich at home. But I'll come back to you, Fahim, and I appreciate you finding time to join me here. I've read this coming from Hans Master, and I've read this one from Big Up to you too, my brother. And again, Hans Master has a channel. He covers a whole lot of subjects. So if you have a time, you could go, check out his channel and subscribe if you like what you see. And more importantly, let him know I sent you. And don't forget my man, Fahim, TFC Fahim, who's on the panel with me. Go check out his channel. Great content, always objective, never clickbait. And that's why I am friends and brother with him. Ankit here says, summer relief, that performance. It is the motivation that's important for this young squad. Motivation is important, but also, and we can't say that the squad is really that young anymore. But that's, by the way, please go check out Almighty Blues FC. Great channel. I think you can say it's a sister channel to Chelsea Perspective, and I'm a sister channel to his channel also. Great content, no clickbait, always objective, and that's why I am friends with him. Now sounding like a broken record, but truly that's what it is. Please go check out Almighty Blues FC. And he says, I did say Timo should have gotten a hat trick in the first half, but I play him on Tuesday. Yes, I play him on Tuesday too. Because the fact is Madrid will come at us, and Madrid will not sit back. If Carlo Ancelotti does that, I think the Real Madrid fans will turn on him. They want to see their team attack no matter the situation. And if they sit back, it will get worse for them. So I think the best way to counter Chelsea, because we will be all out to score, and if they sit back, we'll get a chance to score. Your thoughts for him?
I'm not sure, to it. I think Real Madrid, if it were to come out, I feel like they would be playing for us, playing our strengths, because we do play well against teams that possibly play like a high line. Well, not really high line, but like try press us, because that's how I think we play our best when teams come at us rather than sitting back. So I don't know. I don't think they will come at us like that. I do think they will be more in the middle, be more of a defensive side, because they don't need to come at us. The Madrid fans, they've seen Real Madrid be defensive throughout their Champions League runs. They've been this sort of defensive team doing when they were winning 3 Champions Leagues in a row. So I think I don't know if I would start Timo Werner against Madrid. I think Pulisic would be the player that can take on players against the Real Madrid defenders, because Eder Militao obviously is suspended. So I don't know if Timo Werner will have the space in behind, just like yesterday's game. It'll be an interesting one in my opinion. Ziyech is also another option as well. Not on the left, but I think Mount can play on the left and Ziyech on the right. That would also be a good option as well. But Madrid, I think they won't just come at us like that.
I think Carlo is a very experienced manager. Tactically, I think you can call him a genius manager. And again, I think let's look at the formation we use against Southampton. At the back 3, would you keep the back 3 as they played against Southampton, or would you change anything?
Yeah, I would definitely play the back 3. I don't think there's any need to change it.
Okay, and the midfield for you, would you keep it the same way, or would you change anything in the midfield?
Midfield, yeah, I would keep it to that midfield. Kovacic has to be a starter for me. Tuchel has to choose between Kante and Jorginho. I do think Tuchel will choose. I don't know. I think Tuchel will choose Kante for the Madrid game, because we do need players that.
I think Kante will start that game because he offers something different than every other player in the team. His ball winning capabilities is next to none in our team. Nobody else does it as much as him. I know some people will be calling for Jorginho to come in, but I think we've proven that we can actually play well without Jorginho, and I'm glad that's changed. But I think it wasn't like that before. A few months ago, whenever Jorginho isn't on the pitch, we found it very difficult to, control games. But we did that quite well against Southampton. Why do you think we were able to control the game even at the absence of Jorginho? If you ask me, I'd say I think it was because of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, even though he's on the flank, even though he's on the flank there, I think he contributed so much to the way the midfield play. He's always available for the ball. What do you think for him?
I don't. To be honest, I think it's more to do with the fact that maybe Tuchel's instructed either Kovacic or Kante to stay a little bit. I think more to do with Kovacic to stay a little bit deeper. Don't push up too high, because there have been occasions where both of them, Kovacic and Kante, pushed up way too high, and there's literally no one in midfield. I think Tuchel's probably told one of them to stay back. One of you guys go forward, and one of you guys stay back, and then like vice versa. So one goes forward, one stays back. I think that Tuchel's coached them, told them that you need to do that, otherwise we will lose the midfield battle and lose control in midfield. And Jorginho, I feel like I don't know what is wrong with him nowadays. I feel like he lacks something. I think he has this lapses of concentration, and he looks. I don't know what it is. He looks, for me, tired. I don't know why.
Mentally and otherwise, I think he looks tired. But what do you think? Are you not happy that we were able to control the game in his absence? Because that has always been my concern. Like I said before, a few months ago, whenever Jorginho isn't on the pitch, we usually can't play. But we saw that something different yesterday. He played even better in his absence. We were able to move the ball quicker. There were no slow moves. Intensity, everything was just on point. No difference.
Yeah.
But that's, by the way, let me ask you this. Given Ruben Loftus-Cheek performance in the right wing back position, would you start him against Madrid? Although the possibility of him even getting the chance to start that game is very slim, given that Rhys James was rested for this game and will most likely start, if you ask me. Your thoughts?
I don't think he'll start against Madrid. I think as a right wing back, I wouldn't play him as a right wing back. I think this Loftus-Cheek playing right wing back yesterday, I think that was just a one-off. The fact that Southampton's defending was absolutely poor. It was shocking. Like, they were all over the place. Maybe that's because of our movement. It could be, but I think that since Southampton, their pressing structure was also really poor. I would play Reece James at right wing back against Madrid. Ruben, I think I'll bring him on from the bench later on that game against Madrid, but I wouldn't necessarily start him.
I'm saying that you really want to start a fight with me for him. Give us some credit, man. Give us some credit. Yes, Southampton, they were poor defensively, but the fact is, we were brilliant. What happened? Do you remember the last time we played him? We weren't this good. We struggled, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there. I don't know. Every time we play so good, people start arguing how the opposition defense was so poor. And you've joined that ranks. Believe me, I think we just outplayed them. And again, that manager, he was, wagging his mouth before the game how Chelsea performance against Real Madrid at home wasn't a Champions League level performance. And I really wanted us to beat them. But that's, by the way, I think we were so good on the day that they had no answer to the way we played. And I was glad. I don't wish anybody bad, but I was happy that Lukaku wasn't even available for selection, because I would have been concerned had he been on the pitch. Because I guess he whenever he's on the pitch, I think he changes the way we play. But that's a topic for another day for him. But overall, I think we were just so good that they had no answer to the way we played. I'm going to quickly breeze through the chat. Oh, do you have something else you want to say before I do that?
No, you can go ahead. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Fahim. This is Anki saying, let's bring up the likes. Yes, let's do that, please. The more you like the video, the more Google will push, YouTube will push the stream to more people who are interested in this type of content. And Timo breathes life to our attack when he's informed. Yeah, only when he's informed. That's the problem. Can he be consistent? That's the bigger question. And since he joined Chelsea, I don't remember any time that he's performed consistently for a stretch of time. That has always been the issue. If you look back, his performances for us, good performances for us has been in patches. Every now and then you see some brilliance from Timo Werner, and then for another 10 years you see poor performances. I'm going to come back to you. I want you to say something on that, Fahim. And we have, let me see if we have anything here. That's for Timo goal was, yep, brilliant. Yeah, the SQ for Leipzig. Yeah, you could say that. I agree with Fahim. Werner to move on, but again, need his pace and runs for Tuesday. Yeah, that is that. You guys are really being harsh for Timo. So you only need him for Tuesday, then after that he can move on. Is that what you guys are saying for him?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily start him on Tuesday though. I would bring him off the
Why?
bench.
Why? What
Because
better
I
option do
said
you have in terms of pace?
I've seen Timo Werner struggle against teams that will defend properly. Like I said this, like Southampton didn't defend properly. That's why I think he got his chance to score 2 goals.
Yeah, and it's something I was
And
watching. Man knows
Southampton's
yeah.
not Real Madrid. Southampton's not Real Madrid level. So I'm not gonna. And we've seen Timo Werner struggle in these games at times. So I wouldn't necessarily start him. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think, but again, I will start him because I think we see these things differently, which is okay. I still do believe Madrid will not sit back at home. They will come at us. They know we want goal, and they will see it as an opportunity to find a way to score against us to make it even difficult for us. But here's the thing, and if my how I think they will play, that they will come at us, they will play a very usually they don't play high line because I don't know how Carlo Ancelotti does that. Even when you think his teams are playing the high line, I think they're strategic about it and very cautious. Like you hardly get them on a counter. That hardly happens. I don't know how he does it. And then again, kudos to him for his tactical acumen. I think he's one of the best in the world. But that's, by the way, I was pleasantly surprised he finished that first as much as he should have scored 3 in the first half, to be real. Again, I was watching Man Knows Football, and Uncle Jess has made a comment there. He says, Timo, what's surprising about him, he finishes the most difficult chances, but just cannot score the simpler ones. I think we saw that yesterday, but you could argue he was just unlucky yesterday because he was on fire. Fahim, your thoughts on that before I bring in Nick Blue?
Yeah, I agree. I think his story at Chelsea has been missing the simple chances and score the most and the difficult ones or the more complicated ones. I think, like I said, he could definitely work at Tuchel's system. He just needs to sort out that clinical edge when we create clear-cut chances for him, he can't miss them. He needs to score them. So I don't know. Like I feel like if he can improve that, then definitely he has a future at Chelsea. But at the moment, I don't. He's quite
exactly. You just made a good point. So if he becomes consistent and starts scoring, performing as he did yesterday, even if he didn't score one, after that, how many shots he had on target, and you could see he was confident. I don't think it was just all about him finding spaces, because that one that he had to round the goalkeeper, there weren't enough space for him. He did the work surprisingly, and Blue here says Werner surprised me. He surprised all of us because if you're in the chat and let us know if you weren't mad that to see Timo on the pitch after that, awful performance against Brentford. Let us know. I think even Fahim, yourself, to be honest, were you happy that he was starting?
like against Southampton.
Yeah.
I I think that with Werner, when I saw the lineup, I was concerned the fact that it was Alonso and Werner, and we've seen it against Brentford. They were awful. I didn't know if they were going to do the same performance again. But at the same time, I think Werner's confidence
Mm,
was low at that time.
mm,
Somehow
mm,
became quite good against Southampton. I don't know. Like I heard that a stat. It was 23%
mm.
of his Chelsea goals have come against Southampton. So he's Southampton man now. So he does perform against high lines.
And
So
probably Tuchel knew that.
yeah, I think Tuchel knew that as well. Yeah. So I don't know. I think if he continues like this, his confidence will definitely get better. But uh, if he was to
Yeah,
drop another, he's a confidence player. I would say that he's a confidence player. You need to give him confidence. You need to give him trust for him to perform. If you don't do that, he will just lose his confidence drop stinkers.
yeah. With that, I want to welcome Alex to the panel. Alex, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good. Really sorry for being late, by the way. I was supposed to be on at the beginning, but unfortunately I overslept because of the Formula One race. Yeah, so
Yeah, you told me you were going to watch it, but it happens. We're
yeah.
human beings after all. I think
Yeah.
it happens to even to the best of us. Again, you're welcome to the panel, and I'm happy to see that at least you're able to make it. That's the thing, and it's a marathon show usually, so you stay as long as you can and leave whenever you want. But good thing is that I have you on the panel, so I'll come to you in a bit. I want to ask Nick Blue here a question. Nick, your thoughts on Timo Werner's performance yesterday? Does he deserve a chance at Chelsea, given the fact that if you look at the numbers, because they say numbers don't lie, if you look at his numbers, he's been good for us. Overall, his Chelsea career isn't that bad. He was he had the highest goals contribution for us this past season. Your
Yeah,
thoughts, and given what we've seen yesterday, your thoughts on his future?
yeah. Well, yesterday he was the man of the match. Mason Mount was just behind him. He was brilliant yesterday, but the problem is we don't see that enough. We haven't seen it for 2 years. So I still think he'll be going in the summer. It depends, if he does that again. I can't trust Werner to show up, especially against Madrid. I don't think he will start. I think Pulisic, Havertz and Mount in that game. I wouldn't put him on, just because he had one brilliant game. Because we can't afford to miss the first chance we get, and he's more likely to miss the first chance if he gets it than score.
Okay, here's a counter question for you, Nick.
Yeah.
Here's a counter question for you, Nick. Can you hear me, Nick?
Yeah.
You say we can not afford to miss the first chance we get. The question for you is now it's clear Lukaku will not be traveling, possibly. Even if he travels, he's most likely not going to start. So the question for you, other than Timo, who's the better option there?
Preferably, I will play Pulisic or, even Ziyech above Timo. Timo could be on the bench. I think it'd be Pulisic to start and Ziyech and Werner on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But we know Lukaku's injured, so he won't be playing or coming on from the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday, and he showed, how much we need Alonso. Alonso, all right, he can't defend, but, he does show up. He can score, and we need him. And I think he will start on Tuesday with Rhys James on the right wing back. The team I will go for and Kanti and Kovacic in the midfield. Jorginho is not been on form at all. We can't risk that again. And I think we can, Kanti hasn't been great lately, but he was better yesterday. I mean, all of them were great yesterday. But will come to life against Madrid. And I'm very confident we're going to go and win that game. Some people are scared still, but I'm not have full faith. If we turn up like we did yesterday, it doesn't matter if it's Southampton or whoever. We played brilliant. Southampton didn't it wasn't because Southampton played bad. They played bad because we made them bad. We were too fast for them, too quick. When we do that to teams, they haven't got no chance. So, I don't look at it. Even their own manager said it. It's Chelsea are too good for us. That's what happened.
Okay. I think that's what you're entitled to your opinion. I think if Thomas Tuchel, if he thinks that Madrid will play a high line, I think he will most definitely start him. And on the back of such performance, I think it will only make sense to start him. That would be good. It would do his confidence a world of good. And I think if Werner starts on that day, you will see because we don't have Lukaku and who are the. I think you have to look at the fluidity of our attack yesterday. We created so many chances. It was so good to watch. But I'll come back to you, Nick. Alex, coming to you. And by the way, I must say I like your background so much. It is really beautiful, pinkish, bluish. I think it's a good color, purple, so to speak. Coming to you, Werner's performance yesterday was something we haven't seen for a while. And again, it's been like that, but that's why we've seen patches of his brilliance. And then he performs quite well on one game, and then another 10 years we'll not see good performance for him. And then you could argue that when he started, was a time he was brilliant also. I think he got injured and then had COVID or something like that. That's a setback on its own. Given everything you've seen, the fact that he emerged as the player with the most goals contribution for us this past season, and we've seen yesterday what he can do on his day. Do you think we've seen enough to keep him, or do you think it will be a risk to let him go, something we will regret in the future if that happens?
I think, first of all, we need to consider the fact that Southampton, obviously, that 6-0 win feels like a one-off. Why do I think that? Because look at how Southampton pressed. They're not a team that were playing a low block. They weren't really a team that were playing a high press. They were allowing our players a lot of freedom. And so when you allow our players a lot of freedom, you do feel like it's a little bit of a one-off because you're not really being truly tested against, obviously against the opposition. So obviously you had the forwards who had a lot of freedom to go through that defense, because despite the fact that, yes, they were playing a high line, I mean, they didn't really press as much, because it doesn't matter. You could have the same high line as City and Liverpool, but if you don't press like them, or in a similar fashion throughout obviously most of the game, it's going to be ineffective. And so that's what happened today, is that a lot of the team, especially in midfield, I mean, we dominated in midfield. We did reasonably well in defense, and there wasn't really that many chances from the opposition, obviously on the counter or whatever. But from what I could see, I mean, just on that game, I have to look back at other games and think, look at the performances of Timo Werner in the past. Yeah, it's a bit challenging for me to say that, Timo Werner will definitely stay at Chelsea, because he's a player who loves to counterattack. He loves to use the space. When you look at all the teams actually in the league, how many teams actually allow you to play a high line compared to the Bundesliga, which there are so many teams that love to play a high line. And I think for me, he's definitely going to be on his way to the Bundesliga. I would not be surprised by it. But I mean, look, we're going to have to, for me, it's the focus on, okay, if he's going to head to the Bundesliga, right, who are we going to sign someone to replace him, for example? So on the left, we're going to have Christian Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi. In the middle, we got obviously Havertz and Lukaku. On the right, in terms of the front, in the 3-4-3, in the front three, of course. On the right is right now Mason Mount and Hakim Ziyech. Do we need something different in there, or are those six players good enough? So I think already when you have obviously players like Broha who could be coming into the first team, it makes you wonder, okay, do we actually need to sign someone? Do we actually need to first sell a few players before deciding to sign someone? And I think that's basically the state of decisions that where we're at. It's, okay, who do we sell? Do we even consider a loan for Hudson-Odoi, for example? Because obviously he hasn't been really at the same shape he has been in the past. It's all these questions right now. Right now, the focus should be on, okay, who do we keep, who do we sell? Because that's going to be the focus of the new ownership. And I hope that is the case, regardless of who it is, that they make the right decisions in terms of sales and they don't sell, our talented youngsters that can really prove themselves in our first team.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. The fact that we need to sell, we need to, sell before we buy. The question is who goes. And I think if we don't have any capable replacement or a better replacement lined up for Timo Werner, it wouldn't make sense to sell him. But I have a counter question for you before I go through the chat, come back to Fahim and Nick Blue. And by the way, people in the chat, I will every now and then show this so you see the handles of everybody on the panel. You can see Alex's handles. You can find him on Twitter and follow him. Please, that will do me make me happy. You can see that of Fahim. You can see that of Nick Blue. Nick, if you can change your name to your Twitter handle so that the audience can find you and then follow you on Twitter. Now, the question I have for you, you said something about how poorly the Southampton performed. And I think as Fahim has also talked about that. The question is, they were poor, but don't you think Chelsea deserved some credit how quickly we moved to the ball and how well we played? And don't you think that was the reason why Southampton looked very poor, because we were that good on the day?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, obviously, Chelsea were really good in terms of reacting to the scenario. But that's the thing; they reacted a lot to some of those situations, and as much as you can give Chelsea credit for actually getting 6 goals in, you've got to also admit that this isn't something that the amount of time and opportunity and space. It's not something that Man City or Liverpool would do. That's also the counterpoint. Is as much as those were a lot of chances. Keep in mind, compare that to the big teams. Would you be afforded that type of space? Would you be afforded those types of opportunities? That's what I'm trying to get at. It's that maybe against a team that probably played better, we would have probably won 2-0 rather than 6-0. And so, obviously we did win. I'm definitely happy about that. And I'm not going to, obviously say, oh, we won because of this, that, and the other, and not say that Chelsea were good. Of course we were. I mean, we scored 6 goals. That's definitely a good thing. But I'm still also realistic about the fact that, Southampton made some mistakes, and tactically especially.
Yeah, and let me ask you, I haven't asked you this question. Were you surprised when you saw the lineup? With any concerns when you saw the lineup?
So when I saw the lineup, I think there was, for me immediately, it's okay, he is trying to rest players for the Real Madrid game. As for which players specifically, I mean, obviously Reece James comes to mind, definitely. I don't know why Thiago Silva was playing, though. That was a bit of a concern, because to me, if he plays, obviously today, I'm a bit concerned that he might not play against Real Madrid on Tuesday. Obviously, Aspie was rested, if I'm correct in saying that, or because it was Christensen.
I think he was ill.
Oh, no, he had COVID. He had COVID. Yeah. That's why. Yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously, they can't take Kovacic is mainly due to the fact that I think Jorginho has been a little bit too inconsistent, and the problem is that partnership in midfield has always been a problem, because if you play Jorginho and Kante, you have one player who likes to obviously stay deep and protect the defense, but then you have another player in Kante who likes to go up the pitch. The problem has been his passing to link up with the forwards. You've seen that a lot in the past few games, and that's where Kovacic is good. Despite that, I can't deny, Kante's ball-winning ability has been absolutely amazing. But the problem is how he progresses the ball. And so I think that's where obviously having Kovacic is very useful. But that's the problem. It's okay, I mean, Kante isn't really a player who stays back. He likes to venture forwards. Kovacic is that type of player as well. So if you don't have Jorginho, well, I mean, what do you do there? I mean, that's kind of a concern. I mean, because obviously Jorginho is the one who will stay back and protect the defense. So this is a real problem in terms of like Real Madrid. Okay, what do you do there? And that's, I think, where it's a situation where if anybody, any of the boards, well, future board is watching, they'll think, okay, maybe that might be something that needs to be looked at. And obviously, Ruben White wingback, I didn't expect that, but he performed quite well, actually. He performed better than when he was at centre mid.
Yeah, I think you could argue that Ruben being deployed in that position wasn't really because of his defensive capabilities. It was for the sole reason of his passing abilities and also to support the midfield. And if you see, he did put in some good passes, some great crosses and some good passes also. I think the first goal was due to, you could argue, his intelligence led to the Southampton defense getting confused. And then that good chest trap, I think, was it Mason to Alonso? I think it was. Mason
I think
Alonso.
so. I think so. Yeah. I mean, look. Obviously, the link-up play was amazing from Ruben, but I mean, again, it is Southampton, and given the lack of press at times, it's a bit difficult to really judge. If Southampton pressed better than they did, and Ruben performed like that, I would be very, very happy. Because it's like, okay, maybe he can make this position of backup to Reece his own. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to jump the gun too quickly on that one. And then, obviously, in terms of the front three, you had obviously Mason Mount, you had Kai Havertz, you had Timo Werner. Obviously, Kai Havertz came off at half time, fully expected to do so because I didn't expect him to play the full 90. But yeah, I mean, he still put in a good contribution. And then, as you should see over there, I mean, Mason Mount, 2 goals and assists ever since he gets a buzz cut. So it goes to show that, obviously, he said afterwards, jokingly, that, obviously the hair was distracting him, his eyes and all that. Once he cut it off, it makes a world of good. And then, obviously, Timo Werner, obviously, had lots of opportunities. Scores 2 of them, luckily, but he hit the woodwork, I think, 3 times or something. And that goes to show, I mean, look, against Real Madrid, you're probably not going to get those type of opportunities. So 2 in, 6 opportunities? I mean, are you really going to be able to get 6 opportunities to get Real Madrid? I don't know. That's the difficulty there. And then, I forgot about Alonso, who, yes, I mean, as I think Nick mentioned, he basically said that defensively, he's not as great, especially on the track back. But offensively, you can see what he can do for the team. You can see his contributions for the team. And
I am not really concerned about Alonso being on the pitch. Again, I've said this a million times. Under Thomas Tuchel, the primary responsibility of our wingbacks isn't to defend. Are they expected to contribute defensively? Yes, they are expected to contribute defensively, but primarily offensively, that is our offensive place where they need it the most. And Alonso gives you that. He can finish quite well. He can shoot that with his sweet left foot. But go ahead before I bring in Fahim.
I mean, look, obviously, Alonso did quite well, no doubt. But, again, there's a difference between Southampton and Real Madrid. So whether that kind of perforence,
we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Let's not give it away. We'll come to that.
Yeah, obviously. But it's one of those things where you just not sure if he's going to be able to replicate the performance. That's all.
Yeah, Fahim, your thoughts on the inputs from Alex. I know you always like to be against me.
No, I completely agree. I think I pretty much said almost the exact same thing. Nothing too much different. I think we have to give credit, to Chelsea playing well against Southampton, even though we can dig deep into the analysis about the fact that they weren't really great. Southampton weren't really great defensively, but you have to give credit to Chelsea to, punish them for their mistakes. And I seen a massive difference in performance against Southampton than against Brentford, for example, because yes, Real Madrid, brilliant opposition. Brentford, for example, was a performance where I didn't expect Chelsea to perform that badly. And against Southampton, we do sometimes struggle in terms of their press. So we somehow bypassed. So you have to give credit to Tuchel and the players.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Another thing I'd like us to talk about, but let me quickly go breeze through the chat. With this comment here says he cannot handle the pace and intensity of the Premier League. I think the word I would use is the physicality of the Premier League in terms of pace and intensity. I think Timo, you could argue is that isn't the problem for him. Your thoughts for him?
Yeah, I agree. I think his main game is pace and intensity, so that's something he's good at. So I think it's the physicality which he lacks.
Yeah, that's the issue. Yeah, physicality is the issue. That's why I remember his comment when he nearly came saying he came and he's a giant of defenders and all that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But again, that you could argue tells you everything you need to know about the issue he's had at the Premier League. And Ray Allen says Southampton was so open against Chelsea. This is very rare for teams to do that. Because they probably thought maybe we've been poor of late, that they can come at us and get a result. And if you remember, I think their coach said something about our performance against Real Madrid, that wasn't a Champions League performance. I think something like that. I think the players must have heard that, and I think Tuchel himself heard that. That's good. I think they've learned a lesson. I think it was, again, I'm still saying we played so well. They didn't expect us to play that good because we've been poor of late. That's a possibility. Again, let me breeze out through the chat and then come back. I'm still, that's you again. Lukaku chose Ziyech all injured, so Werner has a chance to be involved. That's it. And I still think he will start. Just that poorly Ziyech haven't looked
Can I just
so
say,
good.
by the way,
Yes, go
obviously
ahead.
there's nothing to suggest that Ziyech is injured. He was a doubt, but he was on the bench. Obviously, Lukaku, the only issue that he had was sort of like Achilles pain. So that was the reason why he couldn't feature. But he was still a doubt, nevertheless. But Hudson-Odoi is one where, that's something that's going to be weeks. He's not going to be around for weeks. That's the problem. Because from what I remember, I mean, I'm just quoting what basically Tuchel said. He basically said with Callum, it doesn't look too good. And it's not a matter of days at the moment. It's more a matter of weeks. It's a shame because it's a setback. So, yeah, I mean, obviously he has like a calf/shin injury thereabouts in that area. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of disappointing. But carry on.
Yeah, well, thank you for that great point right there. I think, it's really disappointing because that's a setback for him because he's starting to, improve on the Thomas Tuchel and getting some game time. But that's, by the way, before I continue reading, going through the inputs in the chat, please, if you haven't, make sure to like the video so that Google can push it to more people to come and join us. And if you haven't, please do subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. It encourages us to do even more. And I hope you're enjoying the Blue Morning Show this morning. This is just quickly. Let me see if there's anything there is to address there. 26 watching, 17 likes. Come on, folks. You got to hit that like button. Yes, please do so. This is Nick Blue. And then, Josh Viola, a quick question for you. Let me know how many contestants we've picked so far. And you must add Nick Blue to that number because I gave Nick Blue an automatic qualification for the quarterfinals. And here's what it's all about. The Roman Abramovich tribute contest. The winner gets to win $150. We need 8 contestants. And I think we've picked about 4 contestants plus Nick Blue 5. Just Viola, can you please give me a list of those that have, we've picked for the contest so that I know how many we have left. And this is Ankit, just what I was saying, Ankit, we never thought we'd be asking for Alonso to start. Yep, again, he's good. I think he's underrated and often scapegoated because of his defensive, frailties, if you prefer. Kante should not push high. His passing is poor. I think I don't agree with that. Kante is actually one of the best passers in the team but I think he's been stereotyped because he's always played, he's always been deployed and asked to be defensively cautious. I think that's why we underrate him. Olupo says we played well without Jorginho against Liverpool at home. I think it depends on the team we play overall. Yeah, it depends on overall every other player in the team, not just Jorginho. I think your argument makes sense. Liverpool to lose today, I hope they do so. I want Tuchel to watch a Clasico and how Barca beat you bet he watched it and has plans. PJ had to say, so Werner played as a striker that game. There's a big difference when he plays 3-4-1-2. I'm not sure it's coming. It's a big confusion, but Southampton made it easy for him. I'd rather have him over Lukaku, though. I'd rather have him over Lukaku because he makes more dynamic runs and he's quicker, if you ask me. I agree with Fahim. If you watch their home match versus PSG, they packed the bus. I think that's the issue Carlo Ancelotti is having now. The Real Madrid fans, they want an identity. And under Carlo Ancelotti, it's difficult to say how they play or what style they play. And I think his position is actually under threat, even though they're doing well, even though they still have a chance to win the Champions League. I don't think they will pack the bus against Chelsea. If they do that, they're giving us a chance to win. And again, I don't think they will. But many people think, even Fahim think they will. Let me quickly breeze through this and come back to the panel. How can you start Alonso just because he scored? Not just because he scores. Overall, his performance yesterday was good. Even defensively, he did well. This is Basit Abdul says, only thing a Werner needs is confidence. That's all. I watch him just like, wow, this is Werner I know at Leipzig. That's the truth. I think he needs confidence. And also, we must establish also, like we've argued here, he needs a lot of spaces to do well. And he found that yesterday. Can he play when there isn't space? Yeah, he can, because he positions himself very well in the box. And if you can get the ball to him in the box, he can put them away on his day. So, yeah, I think I agree with you. Big up to you, Deals. CFC, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well, brother. Lukaku ruins our flow. Why we try to find him. Werner probably better for ball retention and using it. I think we've established that before here. In the absence of Lukaku, we have more fluidity. The players seem, that is, in his absence, we have more people, making up moves, making runs into the box, and we have more chances of more players scoring. But whenever Lukaku is on the pitch, it just seems as if the primary responsibility of our wing backs or our midfielders will be to find him in the box, although that is starting to change a bit. Fahim, I want to get your thoughts on that regarding this comment on the screen.
Yeah, I think Lukaku, his only position in this team is striker. He doesn't play on the right, he doesn't play on the left, whereas Werner, Pulisic, all the other attackers, you can say that they are more versatile. And Tuchel doesn't necessarily play like with a striker like Lukaku. He relies on players that drop deep, false nine, inside forward sort of players. So I think with Lukaku, it's a matter of fact that he needs to adapt himself rather than he needs to adapt to Tuchel's style rather than we need to adapt to his style, because I understand the fact that we spent £100 million on him. We should be building a team around him, but I think Tuchel has never done that sort of thing. He doesn't really build his team around one player, whereas Lukaku, I think, relies on scoring goals from the team built around him, and I think that's what Inter had done as well. But like I said, when it comes to movement, he definitely needs to move a lot more as a striker. Is not just one movement all the time. We've always criticized his movement in this panel, that the fact that he makes one good move, but he doesn't make another move, if you get what I mean. So
yeah, he's static in the box. Like, if you can allow me to comment, the difference between Lukaku and strikers such as Lewandowski and all the big name strikers, is that they never started. Even after the initial move, if they see there's a possibility for the opposition defenders to stop the ball, they can adjust their move, even though the ball is already in motion. But Lukaku hardly does that. Go ahead, Fahim.
Yeah, so that's my problem with Lukaku. To be honest, at the start of the season, when we brought him, he did perform well against Arsenal. I just want to see that sort of Lukaku that was slim, more athletic, quicker with the ball. Right now, he seems he looks so lethargic, heavy, and it just doesn't seem. it doesn't seem good enough at all. It doesn't look pleasant to watch almost. So I think that's on Lukaku. So I don't know what will happen with him in the future, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're stuck with him. Actually, I think hopefully, given Thomas Tuchel's comment, he used the term "has the marriage worked?" He said no. I think it's a serious problem that's very difficult to solve, because he's stated clearly he's not going to change the system to accommodate a single player or build the team around a single player, of which I'm not for that. I'm coming with you to you, Alex. Can you address this comment on the screen? It says, as Tuchel stated, Werner played in his favored position to the left of the main striker, as he did at Leipzig. He and Kai played as a two with Mason Mount behind them. Tuchel's words, not mine. I think you make a great comment there. Yes, we haven't talked about where he played specifically, given the structure.
Well, I mean,
of the lineup. Your thoughts, Alex? Was that he did well?
Sorry, can you repeat that, because I think you bugged out for a few seconds.
Okay, he says the comment reads, as Tuchel stated, Werner played in his favorite position to the left of the main striker, and he did Leipzig as he did at Leipzig. He and Kai played as a two with Mason Mount behind.
Well, I mean, if you look at how, yes, at times, obviously, Mason would be in behind as a cam, but there would be times where also you would play on the right wing, and there would be look, I mean, obviously, you're not specific to one area. Sometimes the players will switch positions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they would alternate a little bit. So, I mean, the thing about Werner is that, yes, he can obviously do well, you know, obviously, if he's on the left side of the pitch, if he dominates that area of the pitch. But you got to remember that Timo Werner plays very much like a second striker. He's not a player.
That's when he thrives. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's where he thrives. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, he played in that position. Obviously, he got a fair amount of opportunities. But then again, it still comes back to the situation of it's Southampton. Are you going to get those type of opportunities consistently against a team like Real Madrid? Maybe not. So, yeah, that's basically, yeah, obviously he did well against Southampton. I don't think Chelsea expected that, so like that lack of intensity. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously they managed to do well in that situation.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that input. LSC, we haven't seen you since the practice. I hope you're doing well, brother.
Yeah, man, not too bad. You know, just stuck with some work, you know, so.
Yeah, I understand, definitely. Bills don't pay themselves.
Just sort things out, man. How you guys doing?
I can't complain. Good to have you. Nick, you want to say something before I bring in LSC?
Yeah, I was going to say about the Alonso. Some people think he shouldn't play. But, you know, big up to AOSG first for his great support at the protest.
Yeah, but I wanted to say that, but you just took it. But go ahead.
Yeah. Alonso, look, who we're going to... If Alonso doesn't play left wing back, who we're going to put there? If you can't have Ruben against Madrid as a left wing back, and you can't put Salah because he's likely to make mistakes. So it's got to be Alonso. He's an experienced player. We need him on Tuesday, and I guarantee he'll be on the team sheet. I guarantee he's going to pick him.
I think he's going to pick him because he did quite well, and he looked.
Not only that, he does come good when we need him. So, you know, I have faith in Alonso. Not so like some people calling him silly names and all that. You know, we have too many calling our players silly names. Alonso, Lukaku, you know, all these rubbish, man. You know. That's
I think it's not. The fact is, I get your point. It's not a good thing to call out players' names. You can be critical of a player, but calling names, I think, it's not something I support. And it's not good. It's not okay that humans after all. But go ahead. Once you're done, I have a question for LSC.
Oh, we had worse players playing for Chelsea. Worse than Alonso, than Lukaku. Really bad players, but we never called them names. You know, it's a big difference now. it's a generation. I'm afraid to say this generation of us is not like we were, but I can't change that. Anyway, yeah. So for me, it's got Alonso's got to play. And the other thing you were talking about, Lukaku. Lukaku, as we know, he's lost his confidence. He still hasn't got it back. But there is a place there. There's going to be games when we have to counter-attack. We're going to need Lukaku. Hopefully he gets his confidence back.
Here's a question for you. Do you think he will be content with just starting games only where we have to counter-attack?
Yeah,
because the fact is, we've seen it. We do better with him whenever he's not in the team. And time and time again, we're creating even more chances in his absence. We'll see more fluidity in our attack in his absence. So he, as given who he is and given his importance to the Belgium national team, he would want to be starting games whenever he's fit. And I don't see that happening now at Chelsea Football Club. And even Roberto, or what's his name, the Belgian national team coach, has made a comment regarding his game time. But you go ahead.
But he might not like it to be on the bench all the time. But it's up to him. If he wants to prove, not to be a bench player, he has to come good. He has to adjust to the system. It's up to him. We can't do that.
Can I budge in on that specifically? I think
yes.
There's a lot of people that forget why Chelsea signed Lukaku. I think a lot of people forgot the lack of goals despite all the chances that we had last season. And if you look at that, and look, Tuchel made it very clear. He was happy with either having Romelu Lukaku or Erling Haaland. He was very adamant saying, look, obviously to the board, you can either sign either of those two players. He knew also that it would be very hard for Chelsea to sign Erling Haaland because obviously Dortmund's policy of we're not going to sell more than one player, big star player every season. And so obviously, it's fully expected that Haaland will go this summer, most likely to Real Madrid from what it seems. But I mean, look, I think that, obviously Tuchel saw, okay, you know what? I'm pretty certain he knows, obviously, Lukaku's strengths, Lukaku's weaknesses, and all of that, and try to make it work inside of his team. Try to fit him inside the style. Because the thing about Lukaku is, he's not a player like Havertz who's going to drop deep. I mean, he's not a player like Timo Werner who likes to drop deep and create space in deeper areas. No, he's a player who likes to get the ball in more attacking areas. So beyond the defense. And he does that for Belgium, and that's why for Belgium he does so well. He likes to obviously venture, like Kai Havertz at times, onto the right side of the pitch. But the thing is that the difference between Havertz and Lukaku is that Havertz likes to venture and drop deep, basically, behind, obviously, in front of, the defense. Whereas Lukaku likes to move forward into forward areas beyond the defense. And I think that's the difference between those two players. And obviously, whether you're going to sign Lukaku or Haaland, it was going to be the same situation anyway. And so I think that's one of the key things that people forget is that, if you're going to sign either of those two players, you're going to have to change a little bit of your style to adapt to them. And I think, look, obviously, I wanted Lukaku to succeed very well, and obviously this whole interview thing has created a lot of issues for a lot of fans. Don't get me wrong. I think the fact that, he didn't talk at all about it to Tuchel, to the players, to his agent, really made it worse for him. But, it's just one of those things where at the same time, Tuchel, Lukaku, they were trying to figure out a way to work, to work together. And ever since that interview, his confidence has been shot because the team, the manager, didn't really support his decision, what he did. And so it's a bit difficult, especially when you have the fans on your back.
Now, here's a question I have for you. You make a good argument, first of all, and recently we're learning that in the first place, Thomas Tuchel okayed the signing of Lukaku, right? We learned that. He said, okay, I will do with it. But here's the question. We created a lot of chances this past season, right? And the problem was that we're not putting away chances. looked at that situation? Because the fact is, I'm not saying by any means saying that Lukaku is a bad player. He's a good player, but every player has a profile and qualities that define them. Unless it's just in a beat, I'll come to you, brother. Sorry. Every player has a profile that defines them. Who looked at Lukaku's profile and suggested in the first place, let's go to him, not thinking through, not realizing the fact that the moment this guy comes in, we're going to have to try, we're going to have to adjust the way we play to get him to be firing on all cylinders like he's been doing in his previous club. Who looked at it and looked at the way we've been playing? But the only issues we had is that we've not been putting away chances and say this will work. That's an issue for me because he doesn't fit the profile of player that's going to help us solve the problem. All we needed was just to put away the chances, and the misses weren't just Timo Werner. The misses were all our players were missing some critical chances, some very, very, chances that, on a good day, a fine player that is not on a good day they put away. Why not try and solve the problem rather than buy a player with a profile that changes, that we practically need to change our approach to accommodate? Isn't that an issue for you, Alex?
Coach, let me come in 1 minute. Yeah, because the fans were screaming for a centre forward. Everyone, and we were all, at the beginning we were happy to get Lukaku. We were screaming for it, so the board thought, to shut up the fans, we go and get Lukaku. And Tuchel wanted someone who scored. But the thing is, he came in, and in the beginning we had Chilwell, who was making great crosses, and he was getting goals, and Reece James as well. But when we lost Chilwell and James for a long period, there wasn't crossing to him, there wasn't passing to him. For some reason, there wasn't giving the ball. He was screaming for the ball. I remember one time he was in the penalty box with Mason Mount. And Mason Mount ignored him. He was screaming for it. He was free. He ignored him, and Mason Mount thought, "I'll shoot." And he shot, and he shot very high and wide out of the Stamford Bridge. I was there, and I saw what happened, and he was screaming after that. The players. That was what's going on. Now it's changed a little bit, but they're still, when he plays, they don't find him enough. That's why.
Your thoughts, okay. That's again your response to that question, Alex. Because it doesn't look like we thought it true. The fact is, no matter how you see it, for Lukaku to start playing as well as he played at Inter Milan, we practically need to change our playing identity. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but the thing is, Tuchel knew about this before he signed him. I'm pretty sure he did the research, unless you're basically saying that Thomas Tuchel didn't do the research, in which case, that's on Thomas Tuchel. The fact of the matter is that, look, Tuchel and Lukaku held talks on probably these types of situations on how to deal with it. And, obviously when we had Chilwell and Reece, things were going well at the beginning of the season, and as obviously was mentioned by Nick. And the problem is the moment that they got injured, look at the supply from the wing backs. It wasn't the same. And the confidence from the team looked shattered the moment we lost Chilwell and Reece. And that's the problem, is that you can say whatever you want about Lukaku, but
now he's lost his confidence. That's what's happened right now. Now they don't cross enough when he's playing. They do cross, but they don't find him. Mason Mount, how many times he takes corners and they don't pass the first man? Tell me. All right, he had a brilliant game yesterday. But all season, he's had 2 good games, Mason Mount, against Norwich twice and against Southampton. That's not enough.
And the thing is, though, is that when you look at it, obviously, the thing about, obviously Lukaku is that he did obviously very well up to the interview. And he did the best he could in those situations. And I think the moment Chilwell got injured, the moment Reece got injured, he started to get more frustrated. And he was like, I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, are we going to be like this for the rest of the season, where I can't get the supply of the ball? Even fans were complaining about that. It was the moment the interview happened that fans started to turn on him, because everyone was behind him on that matter until that interview. Because, I mean, the way it was phrased, I mean, obviously, you could talk about the situation about Drogba being similar and all that, but that was a couple of years afterwards when he wants trophies. The problem was the timing of the interview. If he had not said, even though he was trying to be as honest as he could, had he not said that interview then and waited a couple of years when he won very good trophies with Chelsea, I don't think people would be, Chelsea fans would be as upset about what he just said. And the thing is that, look, it also comes back to the problem of our backups for Chilwell and Reece. That's the main problem, is that needs to be sorted in the summer. And I hope it will be, because as much as Alonso can contribute offensively, you need someone like Chilwell who can play as an attacking left back. Alonso is not an attacking left back. You know, you need someone who can be a backup to Reece, as much as Aspie can be, you know, obviously good in the centre back areas and maybe a defensive fullback. You're not going to rely on him to be an attacking fullback. That's the key area that Chelsea need to address, I think, in the summer, to make sure that if this happens again, if we basically have a situation where Chilwell and Reece are out again for a few games, we're not completely crippled in terms of our creativity.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Let's see. I'm going to come to you. I think the comment I want you to let us know your thoughts on the signing of Lukaku, since we're talking about it, because this is a fan-driven show, and since the topic has come up, do you think would have been better off without him? If you ask me, I'd say yes. That doesn't mean he's a bad player. It's simply, to me, my argument is that it's not the profile of player we needed. I think if you ask somebody like, some manager like Pep Guardiola, he would rather keep what he has, knowing the problem was just that we didn't put our chances away, and then try and solve that problem. And look at this comment here, LSC. The most important aspect of this comment is says, never said he wants Lukaku. He said he'd be happy with or without Lukaku. And if you recall, I think that's what he said. And with that, as LSC speaks, I will be preparing the selection for another contestant. I think we'll have 5 contestants now. We've picked 4 plus Nick Blue. I think Nick Blue makes them 5. We need 3 more to have 8 contestants. And it is about the Roman Abramovich tribute contest, where the winner goes home with $150. And there will be quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the final. And to participate, you must be on camera. And if you cannot be on camera, you can transfer your spot to somebody else. That's not a problem. And also, if you're on the panel, if you want to participate in the selection process, go ahead and type hashtag Roman Abramovich. So I'll be waiting. Unless you can come in while I prepare the selection.
Yeah, so basically, there are various ways that we can look at the transfer of Lukaku to Chelsea. Remember, after we won the Champions League, everyone was happy and all of that. So Tuchel went back to France to, see his family. And when at the moment the window opened, Peter Cech gave him a call, basically asking, we want to get into the, transfer window, what's happening. Tuchel told them to take their time. You understand? He told them, take your time, no rush, no worries, and all of that. While that was going on, most of our targets, they were all being pushed, all the serious strikers, So that's one way of looking at it. Then after that, the window of the kind of profile we are looking for became narrowed down to Haaland, Lukaku, Harry Kane, basically as a primary target. But we know Tottenham, they're never going to let Harry Kane go. So, and Borussia Dortmund, and with the agents of Haaland. So we have problems there too, So, yeah, that comment is right, and I don't think Lukaku is the type of profile of player that Tuchel wants to play with. So his return was more of emotional, because yeah, we want him back. We know he's doing well in the Serie A. And when that clip was circulating about how, when he was 16, when he visited the bridge and all of that, so a lot of fans bought into him. Fans that were pro Haaland, they had to now begin to say, you know what, yeah, this guy is going to be with us for a long time. Haaland, is just, one bang, say goodbye, So we know Alan wants to leave the club and go to, somewhere perceived to be a bigger club. So that was the issue there. So Lukaku was the only option for us at that point. But I believe we should have still went for Ruben Neves. I think that guy would have fit the kind of profile that Tuchel was that will help the team. And I also believe we shouldn't have let Giroud go because that guy can score any type of goal. The only problem with him was the pace that he didn't have because of his age. But I believe that Giroud is the proper best clutch player. When it's clutch time, when there is no hope, he's going to come up with some crazy goals. So that was a mistake of letting him go. So in terms of Lukaku coming to Chelsea, I don't think Thomas Tuchel is a primary reason for it. I believe he didn't want to have issues with the board. All right, anything you give me, I'll take it. There is a rumor going around that I'm not good with the board, Borussia Dortmund, PSG, blah, 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 so I have to, pipe low. I have to play it low. Anything they give me, I'm going to accept it. That's the realm that Tuchel is in. Let's not get it twisted. That's the realm Tuchel is in. And we know our board as being the primary decider of on who comes to the club because they know they can change the manager at any time.
Yeah.
So that's the issue there, And in terms of on-pitch activity of Lukaku, I believe, the injury of Reece James and Chilwell contributed to this, and also when during one of the training sections, when he was firing well for Chelsea, he made a comment, telling all the players there that he's going to teach them how to score goals. Personally, I didn't like that. I didn't like that he said that. Though he said that in jest, but I could see in some of the players' body language, like, oh, what are you trying to say now, that we can't score goals or what, So after that, I started seeing on-pitch activity where players refuse to pass to this guy. They refuse to pass to him. They want to try to score themselves. That was what was going on. Even some fan base, they were, going
So
on.
overall, you think we shouldn't? It doesn't just fit the way we play, and we shouldn't have signed him.
Yeah, another issue I want to bring up now is his weight. I think he's about 10 to 15 pounds heavier than he was when he was at Inter. I don't think Thomas Tuchel is disciplined enough when it comes to nutrition of the players. We know Antonio Conte was, was doing that. Like, he was absolutely militant about it. I think that's what Lukaku needs because Tuchel is being too liberal with him. He's being too, allowing him to have his space, You understand, walking around the training ground like a superstar because you won what with Italy. These people won Champions League, bro. So
yeah, I think. Go ahead if you haven't, if you're not done.
Yeah, that's one aspect of looking at it. Unless other issues come up, yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah. Again,
and shout out to Nick Blue, man. How you doing, brother?
Hey, hi, AOSU. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
And I want to take this opportunity also. I know Nick have said thank you to LSC who was with Nick Blue. They were bringing us live pictures from the bridge to show us the fans protest that day. I do appreciate that. I still have some of the videos that Nick Blue sent to me, and I will make a good video with it. So now, if you're in the chat, like I said, and you want to be, first I want to answer this question to after 6-0 win, Chelsea fans still blame Lukaku. No, we're not blaming anybody. And before you misunderstood what we're saying here, we're not saying Lukaku is a bad player. We're just saying that it looks like it was some well thought out before we went for him, because he technically isn't a solution to our problem. He only creates more problem for us, in the sense that we must adjust the way we play, change things around a bit, whether you like it or not, to accommodate him, so that to ensure that he's fully integrated into the team. That's just the argument. Nobody's saying he's a bad player. He's a fine player, but he works. He right now work better in a team like Tottenham, where you have Antonio Conte, and if you see how they play, their transition is quicker than us. Sometimes we're a bit too slow, even in the absence of Jorginho. We're still a bit too slow sometimes. So what we'll do now is to select the candidate for the day. I haven't heard from Just Viola to know how many candidates we have left to complete. Just type, you have to type Roman Abramovich tribute to get selected. Let me see, to start collecting and see how many people we have there already. We have just 2 people, probably I and Ty Talk. So if you want to participate, even if you're on the panel, you have the right to go type tribute to Roman Abramovich to get a chance to be selected to win $150 if you make it to the final and win. So let me breeze through the chat while I wait for other comments. I think we've read that. And Liam told me from Athletics said Lukaku wasn't a Tuchel signing. We all knew that from start, but at least he okayed it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Can I just say?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
if that's the case, if Lukaku was a board signing, then how come we have reports coming back from July or June saying that Tuchel and Lukaku held positive talks? To me, it wasn't just a board signing; it was a signing that both the boards and Tuchel were happy with. Yes, you could easily say, "Oh, I mean, obviously the board said, obviously we're going to go for this player, and we loved you if you could have positive talks with him just to see, on that front." But at the same time, I mean, who were the other options out there? The 2 other big options were Harry Kane, never going to happen, by the way. Daniel Levy was never going to sanction that. And then Erling Haaland, who, Borussia Dortmund's wanted, 175 million euros? How is that? And then afterwards, you also have the agent fees of like 40 million euros. We're never going to spend 200 million euros on a striker. That's never going to happen. So, as much as, people will love to say, oh, I mean, signing Lukaku was a board signing. I mean, it's not like Tuchel said to the board, no, I don't want this player. He never mentioned that once. So it's a case of, yes, the board signed him, but Tuchel, he was happy with it.
Yeah, I think you make a good argument. I think he didn't say he didn't want him. And again, reports that are out yesterday or 2 days ago says that he was aware of then he knew about his deficiencies, but he thought maybe, okay, he can make it work. Again, it wasn't, he had to okay it. Even the scout had to okay it. And mainly where I have a problem is the scout, they had to okay it for the board to say, okay, for the club to say, okay, we're going for him. And my question was, didn't they say Dusan Vlahovic? I've said this a billion times, and I'm going to keep saying it. Then probably a cheaper option, who was just 3 goals behind Romelu Lukaku, and you could say an all-round player, even better than Romelu Lukaku. He's younger. He has a silent value. Again, we're not saying that Lukaku is bad. That mistake is there, and we always talk about it and we're talking about it. We started talking about it in the first place today because we can see how better we play better in his absence, whether we like it or not. You want to say something, Alex?
No, I mean, in terms of the Vlahovic, I didn't really hear any rumors about that until after the summer transfer window. So obviously, look, the 3 big names that were basically Kane, Haaland, Lukaku. There was Alexander Isak that was thrown around as an option. But those were probably the 3/4 only options that were out there. I mean, obviously Juventus picked obviously Vlahovic for like 70-odd million, something like that. I mean, look, obviously the thing also I think people start to forget is that I cannot remember. I mean, I cannot remember any big signing for Chelsea, apart from probably Ben Chilwell, that we spent like at least 45 million on, and that has performed very well. So I think also there's a problem when it comes to the price tag in terms of the expectations. That we've seen a lot because we spent a lot of money on certain players and they come under the pressure of that expectation. And yes, okay, you can easily say, well, I mean, you shouldn't complain when you have that sort of salary, but at the same time, it's, you know, it doesn't matter what sort of salary you're earning. It doesn't matter, you know, with the transfer fee. You know, obviously players can be impacted confidence-wise, and, you know, when the transfer fee is higher, the pressure is higher. So yeah, I mean, obviously that's a completely different situation where you could go over so many different players we've had in the past where it hasn't worked out when we've spent at least 45 million or more on.
Yeah, I think you make a good argument there. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the draw before we continue the conversation. And if anybody here on the panel wants, all you have to do is go type hashtag what is it, Roman Abramovich tribute. It's a contest that if you win it, you get $150. Where's the hashtag example here? Let me see. I asked Just Viola to help me list those who's already been selected for the contest. I don't. Maybe she didn't hear me then. So all you need to type is just type hashtag Roman Abramovich tribute. Let me show you here again. I'm going to put it in the chart. So if you haven't do so, I'm going to do the draw before we continue. As you should type it if you can see it there. So I'll start collecting in a bit. So the next question will be, okay, let me just finish the draw before we do that. And while you're at it, please, if you haven't, make sure to like the video so that YouTube can push it to more people who would be interested in this type of content. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. That will go a long way. So I'm going to go ahead and do the draw. I don't know if anybody else has typed anything there. So let me just go ahead with the draw. Okay, 2 people only, that's fine. Let me do the draw here. I hope it doesn't select me again like it did yesterday. Okay, I'm going to redo it again because I'm not supposed to be part of it. Draw again. Okay, congratulations, Ty. You're one of the contestants now. I wish you good luck in the whole stages. I hope you get to win it because I know you're a good writer too. Hopefully you get a chance to win it. And Lupo says rigged. Yeah, it wasn't rigged the day you were selected, right? So the question I have for us now is, okay, Madrid is going to be a different animal for sure. There's no way we'll face a Madrid that will play as Southampton played, no matter how well we'll play on that day. So how do you think Thomas Tuchel should make changes to the 11 that started against Southampton? Or do you think he should stick with them, or you think he should change them a bit, make 2 or 3 changes here and there? Ellis, for him, I'll start with you.
I feel like Thomas Tuchel shouldn't change too much with the lineup. I think the lineup against Southampton proved to us that it can work. They can work together. Maybe the only change I would say, play Reece James at right wing back, and that's it. And maybe it's a question whether Werner starts or not. But I think you start most of those players because of the fact that they've got confidence now. So there's no point chopping and changing all the time. So I think we stick to a similar lineup and go for it against Madrid.
Similar lineup. That's surprising to me. Your thoughts, LSG?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind a similar lineup. Yeah, just like Fahim said, I want James to be in there and start Alonso. And you know, since when has found some confidence, let him play. Let him play because the way I saw him yesterday, he was on form. Like he he was ready for it. Like he had a word with his spirit, like what's going on, so he had to do something. He's in that zone right now. So it's of no use keeping him on the bench. Lukaku has a knock as well, so I don't think he will be ready for. He hasn't been in training now for about 2 days. So yeah, Werner absolutely has to play. Then can rotate with Pulisic later on. Yeah, I want to see that same thing. I want to see Mendy being sharper because we basically hand them that game. We basically hand Madrid that game because I won't appreciate it if we go out to Real Madrid because I don't think they have that pedigree right now at this moment in time to take us out based on what we've been doing. So it will be very painful if we go out to them. So I believe if we score first in that game, then they're gonna start thinking, oh my God, what's going on? Because they were scared. Look at the way they were celebrating. They were scared. They weren't even sure they could beat us this way. They weren't even sure. They didn't believe it.
And it was down to one man's performance.
Exactly. So if we can keep him quiet, but I want to see Kante and Kovacic in the midfield. But Kovacic can drive with the ball like all day long. So yeah, I'm optimistic. So and whatever happens, que sera sera, let it be.
Yeah. Alex, I'm going to come with you in a big great input there. And again, I must agree this. I don't see the need to change this team so much, but I'm suspecting Ruben Loftus-Cheek would most definitely drop to the bench for Reece James to start. I think you could argue that, but we have another show which where we'd argue whether what Chelsea what we would talk about what Chelsea must do to beat Real Madrid. I'll come to you, Alex, in a bit. Hopefully, you still have time to stay with us. But then again, you can leave whenever you want to leave. And I want to say thank you to Fahim. Sorry, I did not see your message before you left. Coming to you, Nick Blue. Do you think we should keep the same lineup, or do you think we should make some changes? Or what your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah. Not too many changes. We don't need. They all played well yesterday. The changes I would make is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I'm afraid, to go on the bench. We need Reece James and Alonso for the left wing, right wing backs, and in midfield it has to be Kovacic and Kante for me. And up front, I wouldn't start Werner. It can be on the bench. I would start with Pulisic myself. Pulisic, Havertz and Mount. That's what I would go for. And Timo can be on the bench. We need, if Pulisic is not doing it or someone is not, he can come on, But I can't trust him enough. Even he was the man of the match yesterday, I can't trust him to start in this game. This is going to be completely different. And we need to get that early goal, like LSG said, of course. Get that early goal, and we have a great chance because they're going to get worried. And I have full faith in Tuchel and the team. We can do it. We can really do this. And if we do manage to go through, I think we're going to retain the Champions League.
That is a good point. Good point. If we manage to go through, that's the most important point right there. And I want to read before I'll come to you in a bit, Alex. Sorry for the delay a bit. This comment says Real will counter again. Everything counters when you're pinned down, when the opposition holds the ball too much in your at your end. Good teams do counter when you get the ball. That's what you should do next. Will be to counter when your opponents still haven't recovered fully to score a goal. And boy, Jay, this is the first time I'm seeing you here. If that's the case, please be sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. More importantly, please do feel at home. It is a Mercury here. And if you want to join the panel, the link to the panel is in the description section It says front three equals Mount, Havertz, and Ziyech. There's a chance Ziyech starts, but if we really need pace, I was surprised that Ziyech didn't start yesterday, though. But again, we ended up doing well, so I wouldn't complain that much. But there's a chance he starts against Real Madrid. Yes, did that? Yeah, you did. And a question for you, Alex, is this: Ruben Loftus-Cheek yesterday. Let's compare Ruben Loftus-Cheek's performance in that position to Reece James's performance in that position. And if you ask me, in my opinion, I think for the fact that even as he played, you can see that he's a mashup of that, because he's in that position. He executed it in the form. The output was a mashup of the plays of a right wing back player and then a midfielder, and that was great to see, because there were some moves he was inverting. Sometimes you see him, and that was great. He made it special, because Reece James oftentimes, passes the ball backwards too many times to my liking. But Loftus-Cheek, he moved. That is, he progressed more often than Reece James does. And I'm suspecting Thomas took on my word to say I think this guy did very well in that position, and I'm going to play him there again. Your thoughts?
I don't see him playing there against Real Madrid, if that's what you're thinking. That would be that's it. Look, there's a big difference between Southampton and Real Madrid, as I mentioned many times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I would be very surprised if we played against Real Madrid. That would tell me that I see Reece James playing in that position. For Tuchel not to play Reece James, to me, would be a little bit surprising, because, I would have to figure out what the reason for that is. I understand that he didn't play against Southampton because he was rested. Obviously, from my perspective at least, I think he was rested. But to not play also against Real Madrid and to play Loftus-Cheek there when you're afforded a lot of space against Southampton, and it could go very wrong as well. Let's keep in mind, Ruben Loftus-Cheek hasn't really played regularly in that position. That's one game. So what
aspect of Loftus-Cheek's game are you concerned about him playing in that position?
Look, all I'm concerned about is that it's one game, and I've seen many times where people are very quick to judge one player just based on one game. We can see how other fans, are basically saying after one win and suddenly seeing their rivals lose, oh, we're going to, finish in the top 4. Oh, we're going to finish in Europe. This, that, and the other. It's about consistency. And yes, Ruben did play well today. I won't deny that. My question is, can he do that on a consistent basis? And I haven't seen anything to prove that on a consistent basis he's been able to do that, because he's only played there in that position, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, last game. So, look, we'll see how it goes. Reece James, to me, will definitely start in that position. I think the other two positions, there are a couple other positions in contention, because obviously Christensen, yes, okay, the rating says he's done very well. But at the same time, I look at how he played in the past few games before that, in the season overall, and he hasn't been as good.
Positions, you must state.
Well, no, he's still in the same positions regardless. He's still playing at the right centre-back role. And yeah, he still struggled at times anyway in the past. So, that's why I feel like it's a bit of a one-off, because I don't know if Christensen will be as good against Real Madrid. Obviously, I do expect him to start, because I don't think Tuchel's going to play Chalobah in that position. I don't know what the reasons why he didn't, for example, start against Southampton. Obviously, I'm sure Tuchel has his reasons. Obviously, for me, Kovacic has to play. He's been very good whenever he's played. But I don't know if it's going to be Kante or Jorginho. It could be that Tuchel decides to go for Jorginho over Kante. Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% sure. It could be, because obviously, Kovacic was rested for the past 2 games before this. He's a bit more fresher. He'll probably go into the Real Madrid game, definitely. Kante, had difficult moments in the past couple of games before that. Jorginho might have been rested, obviously against Southampton to play against Real Madrid. Who knows what will happen there tactically? And then there's the debate about, will it be Mason Mount, basically Timo Werner, Kai Havertz as it's there? Will there be Pulisic involved? Will there be Ziyech involved? It's a bit difficult to see, on that area, but I do expect some changes. The guaranteed change that I do expect is Reece James. The rest is purely hypothetical. I expect Timo Werner to definitely be on the bench, especially if Lukaku is not traveling to Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think you make a good argument right there, but I'm still saying, here's my point. Olupo here echoes my point about how well Ruben Loftus-Cheek executed that role. Olupo says Ruben Loftus-Cheek was slick in that role yesterday, looking up and picking up good passes. And that is something Reece James hasn't done quite well in that position. I know it's just one-off. It's a one-off, but I'm thinking if the primary responsibility of our wing-backs isn't to defend, why not go ahead and play him there? Because he contributed very well to our attack, the offensive aspect of the game yesterday, and he was there for everyone to see. So that's why I'm not surprised that he got a rating of 7.8. But I get your argument. It could be a one-off thing, but he executed it better than Ruben Loftus-Cheek did. I want to come to you, LSD, before I go to Nick Blue. How do you compare? How do you compare Ruben Loftus-Cheek's performance in that position and Reece James?
Yeah, it's easy to see, how there might be some differences, but I actually think they have the same attributes. They have the intention of moving forward. They have the intention of, of working in the midfield. And I think the only issue with Ruben would be his defensive capability compared to Reece James. That would be my only issue. But in terms of moving the ball and looking forward and looking out for the passes, and basically we know that Ruben, because of his body, and that's what Tuchel wants him to do, to have the ability to use his body properly, in terms of shedding off opposition and moving forward with the ball. So he has that ability. I think he did similar role for Crystal Palace when he was on loan there, and he was actually good at it. So I won't be surprised if Tuchel bring him as an element of surprise to Real Madrid, because that might, disrupt their game plan a little bit, because we don't know what they might do. So in that case, that means Reece will be playing as centre back, so which I won't have problem with.
Yeah, your thoughts, Nick Blue. How do you compare how Ruben Loftus-Cheek executed that role compared with how Reece James played, and which of them would you prefer?
For me, it's definitely Reece James. They are completely different players. Reece James, not only he can defend, he can go up, cross a great ball. He can score, what Ruben hasn't done for years now. Ruben is good, he's physical, but he's not the player when he first started playing for the first team. He was a lot better. He's gone downhill. We had a great game yesterday, but you can't judge it on that game. For me, Reece James, we will start this game. Ruben will be on the bench if needed, maybe, but that's how I see it. You can't replace Reece James. There's no chance in hell.
Yeah. To round off the show, I think it's important. Let's talk about this. I'll start with you, Alex. After two consecutive woeful performances, then the performance yesterday, what changed? What changed? What made the difference? Because the players in the game against Real Madrid Brentford, especially against the game against Brentford, they looked downcast. They looked tired mentally and otherwise. And you could say the same a bit to a certain measure against Real Madrid. But all of a sudden, yesterday, they were all energetic. They looked like they wanted to play from the onset, to the finish. They looked they wanted to play. So what changed to you, Alex? Were you able to find out what's the difference?
Well, I think first of all, when it came to the Brentford game, my reaction to that was, okay, maybe that's just a blip, because last year, same thing happened when it came to West Brom, and then suddenly we turned it around in the Champions League. So I said, you know what, it can happen. Games like that do happen. It's probably a blip. We'll probably go to Madrid, put in a better performance. Suddenly, though, against Real Madrid, we put in a similar type of performance, and the difference was very simple. We were being pressed all over the pitch. Yes, okay, obviously at times Real Madrid were basically counter. But you got to realize is that the team was being pressed in all areas. And I don't think, for some reason, it kind of felt like what they had expected to do in training wasn't replicated on the pitch. Either that, or it was basically a case of they had an analysis of how the team would play, and they didn't expect the team to play this way. Because if you look at Real Madrid in the Champions League, obviously against PSG, the way they played is very different than the way they played, obviously, against us in the first leg. So I do understand that, but at the same time, the intensity, the tempo wasn't there. And I think, obviously, I remember that there was this, I think, interview from Tuchel afterwards. He was saying, I basically had to go over the entire game. And the way he was saying it, he was constantly nervous, constantly fidgeting, writing down things, right? And that tells you, it's like, Jesus, he must have seen so many things that were wrong that he was like about to blast, like the following day, he went to the players and absolutely blasted that. So I think he was very much like, look, these are the things you did wrong. I do not want to see you do that ever again. Because if I see you do that again, all kinds of things. I mean, when you get a little bit, obviously, I don't expect Tuchel to be too heated. But the point is that the message was clear. It's like, you got to do better if you want to play for Chelsea Football Club. So I just think that on that front, it was very much of, it was definitely not expected from Tuchel that this type of performance in terms of intensity and tempo and the way, the missed chances, the missed opportunities. And yeah, I mean, I think Tuchel looked at that and realized, okay, especially, when it came to Real Madrid, he even said, I didn't really deal with Benzema and Vinicius as I should have. I didn't really address that issue. And that goes to show that probably tactically also Tuchel felt a bit responsible, but he still expected his players to put in a better performance.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you're on the panel with us today. Unfortunately, I don't know again, I appreciate you saying as much as you said, but anytime you want to leave, you're very welcome. I think I always send you the link for the Blue Morning shows and the pregame shows. Whenever you have time, you can always join us. And I cannot thank you enough. Again, I am so happy that you're on the panel with us today. Your input has been great. And Thai Talks, yes, you can transfer your spot to someone else. But remember, the rule is the person must be on camera because we want to see their expression as they present the tribute to Roman Abramovich. And also, it has 3 stages: quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. And you can't use the tribute, the written tribute you use for the quarterfinals, for the semifinals. You don't repeat. So let's assume you made it to the final. That means you must write 3 different tributes. You can get elements from each one and add to the other one, but it must not be 100%. I think the percentage we'll figure out before the contest starts. Here it says, I'd rather Chalova than Andres Christensen. Nick, what are your thoughts on that?
Rather Chalobah than Christensen. Yeah, Christensen, he was very bad. He was, I think, the worst player on last Wednesday. Chalobah, he does come in, he does do well. I wouldn't mind Chalobah, really, because he has a go in him as well. He's just very fast. And he does defend all. He he does defend better than Christensen, really. But he has a mistake in him sometimes. You know, he's still young. He hasn't got the experience of Christensen, but I'm surprised with Christensen. I'm really surprised because he was really playing well before. He wanted to move away and go to Barcelona. He was better. Now his mind is on Barcelona. If it was me, I'd put Chalobah, leave him out. His mind is not there. We can't afford for him to do the same again. You know, and that's will cost us again. Bring Chalobah in, a true Chelsea youngster who will fight with his heart for the team. That's what I want to see from every player. Tuesday, play for forget the tactics. There's no tactics involved in this game. It's about going out there with your heart and passion and just going for with everything. Tuchel doesn't have to say much. All he has to say to them tomorrow, Tuesday, is you're world champions, you're European champions. Do you really want Real Madrid to take that away from you? Go out there and show what you're made of. That's all. It doesn't have to do much. And I'm sure they're going to be on it. They will be on it. But Chalobah has to play for me. Yeah, I forgot to mention that before. I don't want to see Christensen really because he's not here with us. He's going to Barcelona. His mind is not there. When your mind is not 100% with the team, you can't concentrate properly. So yeah, it has to be Chalobah for me.
Before I go to LSC, I want to ask people in the chat, wherever you're watching from, please do take some time to smash that like button so that the YouTube algorithm will be triggered and push the stream to even more people. And if you haven't, please do subscribe to the channel. That helps us grow. I think we've gotten a few subscribers today, and that's great. And I believe we can do even more. LSC, your thoughts on what we've been talking about so far.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Andres Christensen, Chalobah, or Andres Christensen?
Yeah. I'm just happy we have a manager that is capable of self-reflection, and trying to analyze what the issue is, how the outcome of the game, exactly what went wrong with our on-pitch performances. So, and he's also capable of criticizing himself. He included himself in this critique of what has gone wrong. So I believe the players are aware that some people are trying to steal their Champions League away from them. So with that mentality, they have to go out there. I don't think that Real Madrid was actually the best game for us to play after Brentford, because we still have that same, melancholy within us, like understanding what is actually, wrong, especially with the off-field issues with the ownership of the club. Remember I mentioned in some of these streams that the reason we are not feeling the impact right now is because we were winning on the pitch. The moment we started losing on the pitch, what happened? It was like, oh my God, the world is going to end right now. Oh, that's when you start seeing headlines like players are leaving the club. Anytime we lose a game, there's always a headline from the media saying, oh, XYZ player leaving the club, or Havertz plans to leave the club, or when I want to leave the club. But the moment we win, it's a different thing, So it is what it is, and we have to get used to it as fans, On the issue of, on whether Lukaku, that we talked about earlier on, I also believe that one of the reasons that he came to Chelsea was because of Abramovich's son, Icardi, because he actually was the first person to meet with him. So he wanted him at Chelsea, and on whether Tuchel should have said no, I don't think, Tuchel wanted to do anything like that, He's that kind of person that, let the sleepy dog lies. Give me whatever I want, whatever you want, and I'll work with it, So that was the mentality, that was the zone that he was in when he was making those decisions, So, and even sometimes, I think there is a direct connection from the manager to the team, and they listen to him, Like there was a game where Tuchel said something about we're on a very high level. Then Tuchel said something about maintaining the level. The way he said it was like almost like dropping the level. This was last season, almost like dropping the level. And what happened? The next game, we lost that game. So I believe they listen to him and they draw confidence from what he's saying. They draw that energy from what he's saying.
So overall, now, okay, go ahead. You were saying something, yeah.
They were meant to go. They were meant to be rampant. Tuchel told them to be rampant with Southampton, and that was exactly what they did. So these people coming out right now to say, "Oh, Southampton is a weak team. They're always getting beaten 9-0, whatever." No, if they had beaten us, it would have been a different story, And they've been outstanding this season as well.
So would you rather Chalobah or Andreas Christensen?
Yeah, I was going to come to that because you asked me what we'll be talking about, So on the issue of Chalobah, yes, a player like Christensen, he's going to be thinking of his future. He's going to be thinking of attacking the ball, and he wants to save his legs, So that dedication and enthusiasm is not going to be there. And a player like Chalobah will want to prove to the world that he's capable of taking on Real Madrid, So he wants to prove, but he do have that mistake in him, penalty issues, free kick, and all of that, So that would be my concern for Chalobah, But if I'm to make the decision, I will put in Chalobah there, bro. Seriously, I'll put Chalobah there because Christensen don't, It's not that type of person. It's not that shithouse player that will do anything for the club. It's not that type of player now. He's the type of player, as Sari says, always having stomach problem when there is a game about to play, So it's always nervous, and it's not the type. Yeah.
Okay, Nick, your thoughts on this comment here, which is Chalobah was benched because of the consecutive penalty-worthy challenges. He was making it in his last 3 games, but I believe he will start against Madrid. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and on the last games he played, he did panic a bit. He made some mistakes. But, if Asby can't play, I don't think he will. With his COVID, he's got COVID, and I don't think he'd be ready to travel. Otherwise, Asby would have been there, but I can't put Christensen in this team until such an important game and put Christensen, whose mind is somewhere else. That's my main issue. If it was before he wanted to go to Barcelona, it'd be Christensen. He was doing so great with Rudiger and Thiago. All 3 of them were, solid not long ago. But you can't have him now because he's not there. I can't trust him. And I trust Chalobah more to fight for the team than him. He's a Chelsea boy through and through. He has to be Chalobah. Yeah.
How about seeing things from a psychological perspective that Andreas Christensen will be auditioning? He's joining. Let me just put it this way: he's joining Barcelona, which is you could argue phrase it like this. Real Madrid's biggest enemy would want to do some damage there.
Yeah, all right. He's going to want to prove himself. I'm not saying he'll come out and purposely play rubbish, but whatever he does, even if he's going to play well with his mind, he won't be there fully. Where was he on last Wednesday? The mistakes he made. He just left Benzema to tap in 3 goals. He was nowhere to be seen. All right, it wasn't just him, but he was mostly to blame. I can't trust him. I'm afraid it's got to be Chalobah. I don't care what.
Could I just budge in on the Chalobah and Christensen topic?
Yeah, go ahead. And also, if you can address this comment on the screen, fine.
Okay. So here's the thing. I mean, about Chalobah is that he hasn't played in a month. Let's not forget his last game was against Lille, where we basically won 2-1. Obviously, this comes back. I think he was responsible for that penalty that Lille scored. I'm not 100% sure. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But and it comes back obviously to the comment that was mentioned there. But obviously, he tends to have these situations where, I mean, even looking at it in the past, where he basically goes on a run of games and then suddenly he gets dropped for a month, then comes back. Obviously, he came back for he was basically on a run of games until the Plymouth game in February, beginning February. Then didn't play until the Carabao Cup final. Well, obviously, he put on a very good performance there. After the Lille game, got dropped. And basically hasn't played since. So to expect him ever since then to come back against Real Madrid is a huge risk. And I think, to me, it's more likely that we'll see Chalobah play against Crystal Palace rather than against Real Madrid. And so, look, I mean, obviously Christensen's going to want to prove himself, because if he doesn't perform against Real Madrid, at any point Barcelona could cancel the contract because they see that, hang on, we need a defender who can actually perform in a Clásico. And he's not performing right now at Chelsea. And in those situations, he's getting beaten by Vinicius, by Benzema. If he puts in poor performances, he's not going to go to Real Madrid. So I do think that the game in the first leg was definitely, there was a lot of pressure there. But in the second leg, he's going to have to do much better to prove that he is worthy of the contract.
I know what you're saying, Alex. I know what you're saying, but this game we can't afford to. We have to win this game, and we can't afford to see if Christensen's going to turn up or not. That's why
I don't disagree with what you just said. By the way,
I want to put Chalobah there because he's Chelsea. He's been, mainly Chelsea.
But that's not guaranteed, Nick. That's not his Chelsea. That's not guaranteed. How long? He hasn't played for a while, and that's a huge factor, Nick.
Because I mean, the thing is, Nick, as much as I'm sorry to interrupt, by the way. I'm sorry to interrupt on that, but just want to say...
Who else, apart from Christensen and Chalobah, who would you put there?
No, I'm talking about the two options, Christensen or Chalobah. I'd play Christensen. He's more experienced.
Also Christensen, who played for Chelsea before, yes. But now he's not. His mind's in Barcelona. So I wouldn't trust.
The thing is, even if your mind is Barcelona, you got to be able to play very well against Real Madrid, because they can tear up the contract at the 11th hour.
That way.
Yeah, they can tear up the contract at the 11th hour. Let's be honest, especially on the back of the Real Madrid performance. So I expect him to go out there and try and prove himself on the training pitch. But the thing about Chalobah is, you can't expect him to not play for a month and suddenly to put in an absolute great performance. Against Real Madrid, that's even more of a risk, because then afterwards it says to Tuchel, well, why the heck did you play him?
When he made his debut, I was there at Stamford Bridge against Crystal Palace, first game of the season. He proved, he was that was his first game, and he was man of the match. He scored a great goal.
His first game was not then; it was in the Super Cup. Against Real.
The Super Cup. And not taking away that performance from him.
First home game was Palace at home. I don't know. It's hard for me to trust Christensen, especially because after the first game. That's what I'm thinking. It's very hard.
No, it's a fair point. Even I have concerns when it comes to Christensen as well. I mean, I have concerns myself. But at the same time, I'm very much aware that Tuchel will probably pick Christensen over Chalobah. Yeah, and I'm willing to accept that if basically Tuchel sees something in Christensen rather than Chalobah.
I get what you're saying. Probably he will start with Christensen. If he doesn't, he starts doing mistakes or whatever, then a Chalobah will come on for sure. But we have to see. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's Chalobah, even if he hasn't played.
No, I don't disagree. It's completely possible. I'm just saying it's a big risk to not play for a
Yeah,
month
but
and
it's
expect
a
a very
risk.
good performance against
It's a,
Real Madrid.
the
That's all.
problem is it's a risk. It's a big risk either way. So we can't blame Tuchel. He has to choose one. It's hard. It's hard. This one.
Yeah, and let's see. Before I come to you to get your final topic, thoughts on that topic, I want to breeze through the chat. I think I saw somebody here, Nedu Okafor. I think this is the first time and seeing you here, Nedu. If you haven't, please make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. That will go a long way. He says, let Timo start against Real Madrid. I do that. Again, we all have differences of opinions, but I still think he will start because Real Madrid will come at us, and as such, they will play a high line. Jet 5 plays his slows our play right down, and we need a cover and Kante to start. And let's coming to you quickly. Do you think Jorginho still has a future at Chelsea, given that we've established we can actually play without him on the pitch? And I think we can all agree that whenever he's on the pitch, it's not the quickest in terms of transition and ball distribution and everything else.
Yeah, with the emergence of players like Conor Gallagher and Billy Gilmour stay in the background. So from the context of rational expectations, I won't expect him to be at the club next season. And his agents always going out, making complaints, moaning about him being transferred year in, year out, game in, game out. So I think it's time, for him to go because although I do appreciate his contribution to the team over the years, yeah. So if we are going to move forward, because I'm being biased here, I really want Gallagher to be in the team. So, and I don't want Kante and Kovacic to leave. So I will upgrade Gallagher to the first team to replace Jorginho. That would be my take on that.
I think I don't think Gallagher can replace Jorginho in terms of style of play.
Can I just interfere on that
Yes,
point?
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. For me, that seems. I mean, there are two different types of players altogether.
I understand
Yeah.
there are two different types of players. I'm talking about the transformation of the team.
Okay, in terms of who makes way to accommodate one more player.
Yeah.
No, I think I disagree on that front because obviously the thing is that we have players like we already have players like Barkley, obviously Loftus-Cheek, all those type of players that can basically leave, for example, and then afterwards we bring in someone like Conor Gallagher. The thing is that for me, I think you'll definitely have 5 players, in the midfield area, basically by obviously next season. Jorginho, Kante will definitely be around. I expect Kovacic and and Gallagher to be there. I don't think Gilmour will be at Chelsea because, it's the same point as Gallagher. He was at West Brom. He was at West Brom in a relegation type team. And then he goes to Crystal Palace, who are a mid-table team, and he performs very well there because he's able to showcase his ability a lot more. I think Gilmour's next step is to a mid-table team, a loan to a mid-table team. And so from there, the main focus is going to be, right, we need to look at a holding midfielder, someone who, yes, has a lot of the attributes of Jorginho, but can do better than Jorginho. And I think that's going to be the main focus this summer, to find a player of that caliber so that once, obviously, Jorginho contract ends, Gilmour comes in and takes over that backup slot.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Again, but Gilmour, like you said, I think it will be difficult now to come back to Chelsea and then, be part of the team because he's lost ground. If you actually, he shouldn't have gone on loan in the first place after gaining some ground under Thomas Tuchel. All the games he played under Thomas Tuchel, I think he won man of the match in all those games, which means he should have been patient. And I think it was his choice to go out on loan because he wants to be playing games. But again, he's made that decision. And
if I just come in a little bit, I don't think the issue was him going on loan. I think it was the profile of the club that he went on loan. If he had gone on loan in a top 6 club or even a top 10 club, the conversation about Gimo would have been different by now. So he certainly have that ability and the confidence, to play. So going down, I said it before. I said in one of these shots, whatever. Norwich was not the best place for him to go. I understand why he went there. Was a German manager there at that time, and Tuchel believed that he can learn the system, the Genge press system from him. But that was not the case. He just saw a part of the team that won the Champions League was high. So he would have been a better position for him to go to a good club instead of a club like Norwich. So that's what reduced his profile, not his ability to play.
Yeah, Alex, your thoughts on this comment on the screen?
That's difficult, because if you're saying Pulisic is done at Chelsea, I have to wonder, okay, so who do you think is better than Pulisic right now? Hudson-Odoi? Timo Werner? I don't see them right now, like in terms of like throughout the whole season, performing better than Pulisic from what I can see. Now, it could be that in the future Chelsea sign a player that's better than a better caliber than Pulisic. That's completely possible. But right now, Pulisic is probably the best option on the left. And obviously, you're going to have Mason Mount on the right, and Ziyech is probably going to be his main competition at the moment. I don't see Mason Mount shifting to the left anytime soon. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, from what I can see, that's how it's going to be. It's going to be Pulisic and Werner going to be competing in that position until Hudson-Odoi comes back. So, obviously, Pulisic has been inconsistent at times. I won't deny that. There has been times where I've been frustrated. I think a lot of fans have been too. But it's also important to realize is that what he offers to the team, the contributions he gives to the team, compare that to Timo Werner, compare that to Hudson-Odoi, and ask yourself, where does Pulisic rank compared to those players? And that's not just against teams that have a high line. It's against teams that have a low block as well. So have a look at those situations and then tell me, does Pulisic rank below Timo Werner and Hudson-Odoi in terms of the grid order of the positions in terms of performance?
Yeah, let's see your thoughts on that. I think I completely agree with you, Alex. I'm looking at that comment again. I lost it from, is it from Adam or so? But go ahead and let's see your thoughts on Pulisic, Chelsea's future. Because if you ask me, I'd say that comment from, I can't find the comment again. I think it was from Adam. Is this the fact that I think the comment is coming at a time where you could argue Pulisic is actually doing better at Chelsea. This isn't the worst period of his Chelsea career. I think he's right now he's been fit for quite some time, even longer than he's been before, and he's doing better. He's getting some game time, and he's looking happy at Chelsea Football Club. Your thoughts, LSC?
It's really sad, the age we're living in right now, the internet, where people can just spew whatever they like, So he's very happy, he's contented at Chelsea, so he's happy to be here, and if the Americans succeed in buying the club, I don't think a player like Pulisic is going anywhere because he's going to be the flagship in America, so he's Captain America, basically. So I don't see him leaving. I like the kind of player. Like someone said, he's not been consistent lately. So I prefer him in that position than Werner. I was just propping up Werner because of the mindset that I saw in him, from a psychological perspective. Like he has something, like, he wants to show something, So they know that the season is basically over if the Champions League is gone, and so it's just FA Cup they have to fight for, and the top 4 place. So they want to do everything possible to extend the season to make sure that at least get to the final or semi-finals in one of these competitions. So yeah, that's where I am with this. I don't believe anything they write. I know I've understood the psychology. Even Chelsea Football Club, maybe some people that I don't know whether it's Chelsea that's actually doing it, You know, anytime we lose a game, you know, there's always like a news story. Oh, Chelsea plans to buy XYZ player. Chelsea plans to buy S. You know, that will now become the story. You know, so it's a pattern that I keep seeing all the time. So when people just say probably this, maybe the newspaper, they probably use the image of Prison Pulisic looking frustrated. You know, and then psychologically you looking at it, will start thinking, oh my God, and couple with the headlines. So let's not believe anything they're saying. They're all cloud chasers, and we shouldn't take them seriously because it's getting to the team. This mentality is getting to the team on Twitter. You know, it's getting to them. People just yap anything they like, and the players have to accept it. So yeah, that's why I am with it. I don't think it's done. I think it's happy here, and they want to be the club, the first team in England to retain, the Champions League back to back. You know, apart from say Nottingham Forest. So they want to be the one in the modern Champions League to do it. So that should be the mentality, and if that's what it is, then we shouldn't have any cause to worry.
Yeah, great point right there. Ty talks regarding your sport. I think the first time we did the draw, I think DJ tried to participate, and you can share with him if you know somebody he wants to share the give the spot to. That's fine. Even the person that gets it can give it to another person. But once that person enters, once that person participates in the first stage, you can't change again. If you don't want to participate further, then you will be walked over, and the person you're supposed to compete with moves on to the next level rather than you. So, Ty, you do whatever you want with it. I'll speak with people, see who wants it. If not, again, I'll try to pick another participant. Even though I don't want AC to start ever, though about playing him as a DM. He plays there for his country, and he does quite well there. Alex, can you address this one? You want me to read it for you, or can you see it?
I don't know. I saw it. It's difficult because in the past I would say Christensen could be an option, but I also have to remind people there's a difference between playing for club and country, and the demands of a manager in a club compared to a country is not the same. Now, look, I mean, who knows if that's the right position for him? You know, I mean, I also remember that there was a time when we had David Luiz, and playing on him at centre back was definitely not the right option for me. The way he played, what he offered, he was a better option as a DM. And even when he went on to Arsenal, I still didn't understand why he was playing, as at centre back. But anyways, let's move back to Christensen. Yeah, it's difficult because you can play him, obviously where Thiago Silva plays. You can play him on the right. You can play him, obviously, as a DM as he plays for his national country. But it depends on how you use a player. And does he fit what Tuchel is trying to get out of Jorginho? I'm just not sure. I'm not really sure on that front. And so, but if he is, then yes, it is an option. But then the question is, okay, why is Christensen not playing there?
Yeah, good answer to that. I want to say a big up to Mikhail for joining. I know how busy you are. So I'm going to quickly breeze through the chat, see if I can get something for LSD to start so that we can round up soon. Can we all agree Mount should get a haircut again just because the real match are different and gravy? Let's see. I know this is funny, but it's good. I think Alex already talked about it before, but let's see. What do you think about this suggestion from Glenn?
If he goes for another haircut, he's gonna have alopecia, bro. So people are going to be
If he goes for another haircut, he's gonna go bald.
Yeah, that's alopecia, isn't it? So yeah. Whatever he has to do, bro. Whatever he has to do. Yeah, I think he looks good. Let him tap in the spirits of Frank Lampard. Shooting from the midfield. So yeah, that's what I want to see. Just shoot the ball, bro. Just shoot.
Yeah,
So,
I think Messi has always had it in him, but LSG, if you can agree, I didn't mean to cut you off. Apologies. He's been overplayed. At the time, he will be on the pitch. And the truth is, whenever he's on the pitch, you still get that industry from him. You still get that energy, that person But what shows you that Mason Mount is mentally tired is this decision making. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, you're right, to an extent. So I will say basically that if he's fit and because they have tracking, they're tracking these players, they're tracking their minutes, Tuchel is very particular about this. So he wants to know the volume that they can cover. He wants to know their capacity to play. He wants to know how many minutes they have in their left leg, their right leg, So he does all this, So if you're on the pitch, you're supposed to be on the pitch. So if he feels like he wants to play, then he should play. That's the Messi Mount I want to see when he wants the ball, when he's carefree about the situation and he wants to prove, what Chelsea is all about. So that's why we want him on the pitch if he's fit. But if not, I wouldn't mind having Hakim Ziyech because he has good record against Real Madrid as well. So yeah, I won't mind him there. I want him to try one of these golazo. Just try it, bro. Just try it. Courtois, is gonna beat Courtois, bro. If he tries those golazo, Courtois is in trouble. Telling you, he's in trouble. So I would want to see Ziyech at some point in the game. To really light things up. You have nothing to lose. Just try the shot.
I think it is really difficult now, given the performance of the front three in the last game, and given also the possibility that Madrid will most likely play a high line because they would want to play us at home. But go ahead.
Yeah, if Madrid scored first, then the spirit is going to get deflated at that point. So we have to be defensive, and at the same time, we have to be all out. So Tuchel will have to, walk a tightrope and draw a balance, between defensive capability and our offensive prowess. So, but our offensive capability has to be extraordinary for us to go through. I don't think Milita is going to be playing.
Militao, I think he will not. But I think he's got. I think he's suspended actually, not just because of the injury.
Yeah, he's suspended as well. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna see what they have in store for us. They saw us yesterday. They saw the game, so they will know that okay, these guys now they are wounded animals and they have something to prove. So that's where I want the mentality to be.
Yeah, I think you make a good argument. Coming to you, if you're still with us, Alex. Here's a suggestion here. I think it was we talked about who's to make way for Gallagher to come in, and here Mikhail says Barkley out, Gallagher in. Is it that simple? And how long does Barkley even have on his contract? And he's on a very high wage, so getting rid of him is pretty difficult. And that's, you could argue, is one of the reasons why he didn't get a loan move.
It's a good point. I actually, I'm gonna have to look while I basically obviously what obviously the contract expiry dates are on those different players. What I do think is that obviously, look, for Gallagher to come in, you're definitely going to need to move on, I think, with Barkley and Loftus-Cheek, especially if Chelsea get a new right wing back, because you need someone as a backup to Reece. I don't see, obviously, Ruben making that position his own, on the long run. But who knows? I mean, we'll definitely see on that front. Now, in terms of Barkley, his contract expires in 2023. So this, obviously, next season will be his last season. It could be that he stays. Who knows? And Ruben Loftus-Cheek is the one who sold, because obviously his contract expires in 2024. But yes, it is very difficult because salary-wise, obviously, I don't know what the figure is, because it's a bit difficult to find the exact amounts. But it's tricky. I think it's been tricky in the past to move Barkley on because of the salary, from what I recall. And but he is definitely, in my mind, one of the players that should be moved on, especially once Gallagher comes in. Otherwise, he'll probably just be, like Danny Drinkwater, put into the under 23s. And yeah.
Yeah, I think you make a good argument. Let's see any input on that argument that Barkley should be the one to leave for.
Yeah, he should absolutely be the one to leave.
Yeah.
Yes, he should be the one to leave. I think it's almost on close to 100K a week. Yeah, and his input has not been visible for us to see. So I think the new ownership, they are going to be clear. And what I want to say is, I want Tuchel to be, outspoken, in club, because he doesn't want to. He doesn't even want that responsibility. He doesn't. That's the kind of person this guy is. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the club. You saw the interview the other day. They were asking me if he wants to, speak with the with the new owners. He said no. He said he wants to be like the last person to, And I'm sure that he's going to tell them, yes, I just want a strong squad. I want this one. That's not the attitude I want from Tuchel. I think that position of a head coach is what is limiting him, rather than the position of a manager. So it's kind of limited to what happens on the training pitch and all of that. So I just want him to give an idea of players that he wants to really, he wants to leave, and the players that he wants to keep. He should be outspoken and tell them. Then that's definitely what's going to happen, because the new ownership wants to impress the fans, wants to impress the manager, and wants to impress the club. So they will do what they have to do, to get rid of the deadwood and start afresh.
Yeah. Alex, anything you want to add to that? Let me see if I can find something here that we need to address. If not, we will call it a day, because it's been a great conversation here, but it's a long one.
I think,
Go ahead.
I mean, look, obviously, I think I addressed this like much earlier, but there is this conversation about, Kante, Jorginho, what to do about them. I mean, are they going to start against Real Madrid? I think, look, I see either one of them obviously starting against Real Madrid, but on the long run, I think, to me, if we wanted to let go of someone like Kante or Jorginho, we would have done it last summer, for example, because that was pretty much their peak. That's probably the time where you could have gone a very, very good transfer value for them. And obviously, right now, we're at a stage where we want to keep our best players until the end of their contracts. And look, for me, I see Kante and Jorginho staying until the end of the contracts. Kovacic, I definitely expect to be around. Gallagher, I see him being integrated into the first team. And I definitely expect, or hope, should I say, that Chelsea go for holding midfielder who can basically sort of like reduce the responsibilities of Jorginho. Because don't forget how often in the beginning, at first of the season, Jorginho was playing, especially with a back pain. That tells you how much he was playing throughout that, obviously, the first half of the season. And, that was a time where we had injuries in terms of our midfield, and Jorginho was probably the only fit midfielder we had. So, yeah, I mean, look, I know there are people that don't like Jorginho for certain reasons. I found it difficult personally that people don't appreciate what he offers. But at the same time, I'm also accepting the fact that, eventually you have to move on with players. But in order to do so, you need to bring someone in that is of a better caliber. And right now at Chelsea, or in terms of the loanees, we don't have that. So we need a signing that can be better than Jorginho. And whether that's Tchouaméni, whether that is Rice, for me, that doesn't really matter. The point is you need to make the signing.
Yeah, good argument. Let's see. I think we have two comments here to address, and then we can call it a day. Let's see your thoughts on this comment on the screen. The issue is we have to attack. We have to score 3. Real can play on the counter, which they are great at. Worst case scenario. Your thoughts, LSG?
Yeah, there's no telling on what's going to happen on the pitch. There's no telling on what's going to happen. That's the unpredictable. That's why football is unpredictable. So we never can tell what their attitude is going to be. If the attitude is let's finish these guys off, that might even give us room, to play. My issue would be the mentality of the player of not going down, drawing from the spirits, of Napoli, of what happened. The same result, 3-1. And we later won that game 4-1, the return fixture. So that's where I am at this moment. I'm not thinking of anything else. I'm already visualizing us going into the semi-final. So however the game is going to be played on that day, on Tuesday, the players, the managers, the fans, I hope they are as loud as possible at the Bernabeu. We know that effect is going to be another issue as well. So I just hope that we counter whatever is being thrown at us, whether it's referee decisions, anything on that day. So I'm hopeful that we'll get through. If not, wherever, let it be. And I saw a comment on someone talking about if the Ricketts win the bid, SYZ will happen. So I don't know where we are on that front. I think tomorrow was supposed to be the day for the shortlist, the second shortlist. So I don't know. Is it true that
I
it's
think
been
that was
shifted
pushed
to
back by a
14th?
week or something, if I recall.
No, I think it was 11th. Then the final day will be 18th, all right? Or the third date will be 18th. But
Because I
I'm
remember
hearing,
that the final decision was pushed back until May, because obviously the Premier League would have to look through the different proposals, and so there would not be a confirmation of a new owner until May. That's what I do recall. But
so nothing is happening tomorrow. Nothing is happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is 11th. Remember that 11th? There were 2 dates, 11th and 18th. Now
yeah,
I'm hearing that
the
that
18th one I
11th,
think was pushed back to the May, and I think
May,
the 11th one is pushed back to the 18th, as I recall. I could be completely wrong, but that's what I
No, I
remember.
think the 11th one is pushed to 14th because that's what I'm hearing. Like it's pushed to 14th. So
So
what's
to answer
happening?
to answer the question on the screen, what's the response to this question on the screen? Does that what you guys said, or does that answer the question?
I want to ask when we will know who won the race to be our owner. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about here.
So that answers the
So
Yeah,
question.
we'll
yeah,
definitely know
so
in April who won the race, because obviously, like, if that's based on the Reign's inputs, and they will give it to the Premier League, who will make sort of like a decision on the back of that. But that will take until May for the confirmation in terms of the approval. So obviously, the Reign can only obviously recommends one owner. They gave it basically to the Premier League and the government to look over. And for that approval stage to be complete, you need to wait until May.
yeah, so this is because Tuko was told that the date has been shifted and he wasn't happy about it, and he just said, you know what, that tells you that he's not aware. He's not in tune with what's going on. He's just focused. He was asked, and he was told that the date was shifted, and he had surprised, like he wasn't aware of this.
Yeah.
It was
All
supposed to
right.
be
Here's
11.
go ahead. Here's the comment I wanted to round off with. Alex, I'll start with you. Then I'll Nick, Alex, I'll start with you. Then I'll go to Alex to round up the show for us. And I can't thank him enough for staying this long. I know when you and I talked, and you were concerned about the length of the shows. Again, it was a show that was supposed to be 30 minutes to 1 hour, but because when you talk about the new ownership, there's quite a lot to talk. So it's which before you know it, you can't just cut it off that way. You have to. But I think after the ownership of the club switches hands, I think we'll definitely cut the length down so that people can always rewatch. But then let's come into you. Mikhail here says club failure to not show path into first team for the academy boys that end up choosing to leave. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but I think it's time we stop with this narrative now because we've been showing path for some years now, and we've been an example and a model to the world of that transition from academy to the first team. So we've been doing that. Just look at our first team. Christensen, Callum, Mason, Shaloba, Loftus-Cheek, They're everywhere. So even right now, for example, we go bring in someone like Tino Livramento. He's going to be competing with another academy player, Rhys James. You see. So I don't think Chelsea has, that stereotype that, oh, we've not been showing pap. I think that era is over. We're not just going to give anyone, a part of the first team when we are not sure of their capability. You have to be good to play for Chelsea. And someone like Tomori, I believe that if Tuchel was here, he wouldn't have let him go. He already left before Tuchel came in. So the way I see Cobham is like Oxford. You don't expect every graduate of Oxford to work at Oxford. You don't expect Oxford to be their employer. So we've been providing players, to Premier League clubs and clubs elsewhere, Serie A, and they're cooking. So we should be proud of our academy, not load it, not say, oh, continuous these rival fan talking points of, we don't have the path. The path has to be clear, and the player have to be good, to take their position. So that's where we are, and I believe the academy is going to even do greater things with new ownership coming in. So that's where I'm at in that situation. Let's not continue to berate
Yeah,
our
I, I,
players.
think, I do agree with you that there's a path. I think that actually changed. Especially it started under Frank Lampard, although you could say it wasn't by design. I think circumstances, ensured that happened even. But there were part. But again, we must recognize there's no doubt possibility for us to keep every academy player. I think every now and then we had some who will not make it at the club. And again, coming to you, Alex, do you have anything to add to that comment?
No, I mean, obviously, yeah. So just to remember, what specifically is the question? Basically, I mean,
it says it's just not really a question. It just says the club's failure not to show path into the first team for the academy boys that end up choosing to leave.
No, because here's the thing. I mean, if that was the case, then how come players like Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, Reece James were able to go through? I completely dispute that. There are players that have managed to go through, but there are other players that were like, I want game time, that weren't willing to wait, and yes, okay, sometimes that can be the fault of the board and the manager, but sometimes that's also the fault of the player for being too impatient. So if the problem lies specifically, if you're saying that it's only the fault of the board, I think you're completely neglecting the fact that basically players have a mind of their own. The boards can offer them whatever they want, but still they want to go somewhere else because they feel like, oh, I'm never going to get the game time. I mean, look, Tino Livramento, he basically left because he felt like, obviously for the specific reasons, because there was a rumor that the board wanted Hakimi. Yes, okay, I do understand that he did, obviously wants, but the thing is, the moment that didn't work out, he could have easily said, look, I'm going to stay. I'm going to prove myself to you. You don't need another signing. He decided, you know what, I'm going to leave. And you know what, fair enough. But there are players, obviously, that are saying, like, look, the competition's too steep because I want to play regularly. But then there are also players that are like, oh, I'm not even good enough for a backup role, so then I'm going to leave. It depends on the circumstance. Not every circumstance is the same. When it came to Tammy Abraham, the reason why he left is because he wasn't being played under Tuchel. And I think it's because Tuchel didn't really trust him. And let's be honest, you look at his performances in the Serie A, and you can see the amount of tap-ins he scores. As much as that's great for him, Chelsea need a striker that can offer more than that.
Wow, that's really deep, Alex. And the fact is, I think we should actually discuss whether Tammy Abraham would still be that good if he was still at the Premier League, because most of them are tap-ins, like you said. But again, it's that response to that academy issue path for the academy boys is deep. And in most cases, I think I made a video with, I think it was Tom Overend, where we talked about it. Most of these academy kids, they want to leave too. They want to be playing more often because some of them.
Let's not sorry to cut in here. Let's not also forget that, before this incident happened, before they are leaving, there are propaganda everywhere, even from Chelsea fans channel of us not giving them time, or it's better for them to leave. Oh, just leave, sack the academy, get rid of the player. These guys are listening to this, It's affecting them psychologically. Their parents are talking to them, their agents and all of that. So Livramento he was already in and around the first team, So he was ready, that position was ready for him. The emergence and inclusion of a player like Chalobah, is a testament, that Chelsea can do without signing a player, because we were after this guy from Sevilla.
Yeah, but the counter argument to that specifically is that Chelsea were very keen on Jules Koundé. And the argument was going to be, if Chelsea signed Jules Koundé, Trevor Chalobah wouldn't be in the first team. It's the fact that Chelsea did sign Koundé, that Chalobah is basically still around. And yes, okay, I mean, obviously he performed very well in August.
It was the performance, It was the performance that made them change that decision.
I still think Tuchel in the back of his mind still thought, maybe we should get Koundé. But despite that, I mean, look, I'm obviously happy to see Chalobah stay. Whether or not next season that's still going to be the case, look, I don't know. I mean, that's entirely speculative. Who knows what sort of signings we're going to get in the summer?
I won't have any problem. It was the fee that Tino Livramento went for. That's my issue. I won't have a problem if a Chelsea player is being sold. Yeah?
So remind me, how much did he go for again?
I think it was less than 5 million.
I think also I remember that his contract expire next season? And so that was the difficulty in securing a high fee? Yeah, so basically, technically, this at the end of this season,
it still doesn't matter, because what's his name? The guy at forgot his name. Maguire never played for us in the first team, right? Or maybe
but he had a longer contract. That's the thing. So his contract was longer. No.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because
actually, that does
really matter, because Hazard had what? How many years was left in his contract, and we're still able to get.
I think here's
we can say that
Hazard's case is different.
Yeah, we can say he has a higher profile. I understand that, but it's the same rumor, like the profile of Tino Livramento is out there. That's why Southampton paid for him. All right,
no,
I wouldn't have
different.
problem. Yeah, I get you. I understand. I'm just talking about my frustration with the how Livramento left the club, because I want our academy players to go for top prizes. I won't have any problem if our academy player has been sold for 70 million, 80 million. I don't care. As long as the money is coming into Chelsea. All right? The academy is there. We are not going to get everyone in. Pick the best ones, sell the others. That's my issue. All right? So you can sell as many academy players as you want.
The thing about Hakimi, as I said, about Livramento, is because Hakimi there was a lot of transfer speculation about Hakimi coming to Chelsea. That Chelsea were interested in Adama Traore for that backup, for that competition with Reece James. And then when Livramento saw that, I think it was like, look, I'm better off leaving.
Yeah,
so 5 million at the time for a player who hasn't even proven himself at all in any other league apart from the youth division. I mean, that's different compared to Margui, who proved himself in the championship. He commanded higher fee because he proved himself in the championship. Yeah. I think he had probably a longer contract. I don't know. Hazard obviously proved himself over a much longer period, and obviously was really good. And for us to get, that sort of amount, I'm still surprised that we managed to get like upwards of 100 million for him. That to me was a complete shock. But yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's a chance. Go ahead.
Let's not load the academy. I want good players like Broha and Gallagher to get in the team, and we should always, whatever decision the club make, things. But I just want the fee to be high, because we already have that reputation now of breeding some of the best footballers. All right, so that reputation must continue. And we have to keep on hyping it. We have to keep on hyping that reputation. It doesn't matter whether they kicked a ball in the first team or in the championship. As long as you are from that academy, All right, we know what you are capable of doing. So hence the price should be so and so value. So that's what I just want our players to be valued more, because I have noticed in the transfer window that Chelsea players always go for cheap. People want to buy our players for cheap, and the moment we want to buy other players, a player that if Liverpool go for them, it will be 26 million or 30 million. But if Chelsea go for them, they will tell you 70 million, 80 million. This has been one of the problems in the transfer.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
here's the thing: when it
we
comes
should
to
make
Gallagher,
that.
when it comes to Broja, they're going to command high transfer fees. Chelsea are not
They
going
will,
to
yeah.
accept.
Broja will.
So
But we're not going to sell those players. I
Yeah.
don't see us selling those players.
No, I
Go
don't
ahead,
see her
Alex.
selling those either. And to be honest, I expect Broja and Gallagher to be integrated into their first team. That's the reason why they command such high fees, is because players like, I don't know, Curtis Jones at Liverpool, he commands such a high fee because obviously Liverpool trust in him. Phil Foden, this, that, and the. I mean, there are so many other players that you can talk about that are that the managers at those clubs want to integrate into the team. They want to keep there, and that's the reason why they command such a high fee compared to players who are not really seen at the level to be ready to basically to basically play at that level, and so they command lower fees. And look, obviously, we can. Margui, he obviously proved himself in the Championship, but as we know, there's a difference in terms of the Championship and the Premier League. It's not the same thing. And obviously, Levi Colwill, exactly, another example. I definitely expect him, for example, to replace Andres Christensen, to come into the team and be that player that replaces him. My concern is going to be, okay, what about Rudiger? What do we do there? Because obviously, with the current struggles, we can't sign any contracts and sign any players at all until probably May. So that's going to be very tight.
Yeah. Again, with that, I want to say thank you to LSC and Alex. It's been a civilized and, well, that is a good conversation and debate, if you will, if you want to see it that way. And again, I want to thank you both for staying this long. It's been 3 hours plus, and that's not easy. Everybody's busy, and also there are games to watch, and you're still here trying to help me make sure that the audience enjoy the show. I cannot thank you enough. And for those in the chat, we had Mikhail, CFC, Fahim. And if you haven't, please make sure to go check out Fahim's channel and subscribe to his channel. Great channel, great content, always objective. And also True Blue, nice to see you here. And Phantom of Many Topics, he has the channel too, covers travels and all that. He has some great videos that I want you to go and see. George Viola, one of the queens of the house, I want to say thank you. And Mikhail, who stopped by. Nick Blue, also, who was on the panel. I cannot thank you guys enough. Alex, do you want to take a minute and tell the audience about yourself?
Well, obviously, I do a lot of things on Twitter and Instagram in terms of graphics, so you can easily go onto my Twitter and see some of the graphics that are there, especially concept kicks as an example. And yeah, obviously my Twitter handle is obviously CFC Alex.
So you're a graphic designer?
Well, I mean, I design graphics basically just for fun. It's not specific, it's not like a job for me. It's just a hobby sort of a thing. And yeah, obviously you can go onto my Twitter, see some of my football opinions at times. Obviously, it's not as frequent because I'm a part of group chat, so I voice out my opinions there. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously on Instagram, on Twitter, you can definitely see a lot of my graphics. And if you enjoy those, I mean, definitely give a like. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And please do make sure to send me your information on how you want me to add it to the video. And I would do that so that I can reach out to you if they want to. And I will always make sure to send you the links to the Blue Monday shows and pre-game shows. And so that if you want to join, if you have time to join us, you're always welcome. And let's see your final thoughts. Anything you want to tell the audience about yourself and how they can reach you? I'll also add your information to the video when it's ready.
Yeah, I just go on Twitter. I go on Twitter 2 weeks ago because all these years I only go on Twitter as a guest, just looking at the madness going on over there. But with what's going on with Chelsea, I had to come out. I have to speak. So this is my first time of ever going public. I'm a very private person. Yeah, but for work, we build a broadcast equipment like, outside broadcast trucks. And we used to go cover World Cups and Europa football clubs. So yeah, that's basically what I do my own time. So if anyone wants to go follow me, I think I have about 4 followers. So if you guys are gonna go follow me on Twitter, that's fine.
Yeah, this is
So I'm
LSG. You
good.
can see his Twitter handle. It is LSG. Keep the blue flag flying high. And you can see Alexis is this CFC Alex98. Please go follow them both. They've been a brilliant show with them, and I can't thank them enough. With that, we've come to the end of the show, and I say God bless us all, and see you guys in the next Blue Morning show. And bye.